Welcome to Gen X Adulting. And today we have Wes from Hiking with Hope with us. Welcome, Wes.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you here. Our first question is always, what year were you born?
1967.
Okay, so you are Gen X.
I am Gen X, yep.
Now, was that 67 wasn't the summer of love, right? Was that 69 was the summer of love?
I think it was 69.
69, yeah. But 67 was the beginning of the whole like hippie movement and all that. So you were born during the beginning of all that, the civil rights movement and all the stuff that was going on.
Oh yeah, I remember my older siblings out doing their protesting and the bell bottom jeans and the whole 60s thing and the 70s vibe. And
Oh yeah. Now, where were you born?
I was born in Springfield, Oregon.
Okay. And a fellow Oregonian.
Yeah.
And were your parents from that area? Like, did your family? I know for me, my great grandmother's dad brought them all to Oregon. Does your family go back pretty far?
All originally from Oregon, believe it or not. My mom went to school at Lowell High School in Lowell, Oregon. My dad went to school in, I think it was Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all my ancestry go back to really grassroots of being in Oregon, kind of.
That's awesome. Do you know how they met?
I don't actually.
Now, do you know when they got married?
I don't know. They got married in Eugene.
Okay.
Right when my dad was getting ready to take off to go into the military.
Okay.
And then I've got 7 siblings.
Wow.
And he's my stepdad who raised me from the time I was 2.
Okay.
Him and my mom had a daughter together,
Mm-hmm.
my half sister. And now they're both passed away, so it's just me and a couple of siblings still left out lingering around. And
okay, so there's 7.
correct.
So when they got married,
They came with their own kids.
Okay, so it's blended.
Okay. Blended, correct.
Blended. Okay, so were you the only one that was there, like from them?
No, my sister was.
Okay, so so did your mom bring you?
Me and my other 2 siblings came
Okay.
in with him, with my stepdad and his 3 kids.
Okay.
And then they had my sister Sandy after they got married, and we were all together and all that.
Okay. How did the blending go? Was it a pretty smooth process?
It was. Now that I look back on it, because Dad brought in 3 boys, and then there was me and Brett, so there was 5 boys, 2 girls. Yeah.
That's a rowdy house.
And we lived out on 10 acres out in the middle of nowhere in Marcola, Oregon. So it was all dirt bikes and, getting dirty and raising cattle and horses and livestock. And
so, well, what did he do?
he actually was a millwright for Weyerhaeuser for like almost 40 years.
Wow. A millwright?
Yeah.
What is that?
Basically, it's in a roundabout way, it's like a mechanic for a mill. Okay. So they're running around fixing things, making sure everything's operating correctly. And then closer to the end of his career, he ended up as one of the operational guys for Weyerhaeuser.
Okay, so he worked for Weyerhaeuser pretty much his whole career?
His whole career from 18 on.
And was your mom a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah.
With that many kids, I would think so.
Yeah, when back then it was easier for moms to stay home.
Absolutely.
And raise 6, 7 kids, on a one-income household. And then as we started getting older, times started changing. We started getting into the late 70s, early 80s. Mom started going back to work, and she would do part-time work and things like that.
Were most of you kind of in school at that point when she went back? Okay. So you said that you guys had 10 acres?
Yeah.
So were you farming or was it livestock? Like how did you use all that land?
Primarily for livestock. We came in, cleared a lot of it, had a lot of old oak and a lot of Doug fir, a lot of old timber. So we cut that down. We used some of that. We built, I want to say it's a 4,000 square foot home on the property. Used some of the timber off of the property.
That's cool.
Yeah, and
Did
then
you
what?
help?
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, did you help? Did you guys help build the
Oh
home?
yeah, at 12 years old, we were lugging lumber, and yeah. In
That's
fact,
awesome.
I cut 2 fingers in my left hand, and my thumb I almost cut off at 13 using a chop saw. You know.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is really cool. Now, with the livestock, did you guys sell it or?
A lot of it was, yeah, we'd raise and sell like small livestock, goats, pigs, things like that, rabbits. As I got
Okay.
older and I started spending more time with what I call my other family or other set of parents, not related, but spend a lot of time with them. Um, I ended up living with them for the last couple of years of high school because they ran a livestock auction. So I
Mm,
worked in the back pushing the cattle, horses, cattle, pigs, anything you can imagine, into the sale ring so that they could auction it off. And then we also uh, trained horses. So I spent a lot of my younger childhood up through my 20s training horses and livestock and running livestock to the sale barn and things like that.
wow.
A lot
So
of
That's
this,
cool.
transporting livestock for people from one side of the mountain to the other and hauling hay all over the dang state and, you know, cussing the
that's
whole
amazing.
way and wishing, you could do something else and it sucked ass. And
So, was there ever a time where you got attached to an animal that you had to sell?
not really. I don't think so because in that business you get so unattached. It's an animal. You know what I mean? You always have your favorites, but no, not really. I've always been an outdoors type of person. Um, so they kind of go hand in hand. We did a lot of horseback riding when I was a kid. We'd go up into the Sisters Wilderness area for 2 or 3 weeks at a time on horseback, and things like that. So you pick your favorite horse, so to speak, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
but you'd
yeah.
also jump on whatever was available too. So
Did you guys have a lot of dogs?
yeah, we always had two, three, four dogs running around and a lot of
Did you ever
healers.
have? Yeah, I was gonna say, did you have dogs like a healer that would help you
Yeah,
with
oh yeah.
the
Like a
livestock?
working dog.
Livestock.
Yeah.
In fact, my brothers and stuff still run. Um, they're part of the Oregon and Lane County Livestock Association, and they run thousands of head of cattle out of Cottage Grove.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a bit
Very cool.
it's a pretty big deal. They run and ship beef all over the country in Idaho and Oregon and California.
It's a huge agricultural area, right?
Oh
Both
yeah,
livestock and hay. I
right.
know there's seed companies there, Territorial Seeds, I think in
Yeah,
Eugene, I think, right? Or
yeah.
Junction
And the
City, maybe.
cannabis industry up here is just like
Yeah, I bet
crazy.
it's blown up, right?
Well, yeah, I was reading an article a couple months ago, and they're saying that Oregon throws away and burns more marijuana than any other state in the country
No
because of the
kidding.
overstock of
Yeah, yeah.
product. Yeah, I was just like, wow, I had no idea.
Wow, that's
So,
a trip.
yeah,
Are you still close with all your siblings?
yeah, oh yeah,
Are they all in Oregon?
yep. Everybody's in Oregon, kind of spread out a little bit, between
Yeah,
Portland and Eugene, and
that's very cool though. That's awesome. So during elementary school and junior high, I don't know if you called it junior high and middle school or middle
we
school.
called it junior high then.
Okay. Were you involved was it mainly the stuff you were doing on your property, or were you involved in any extracurriculars like sports or any clubs or anything, or was it mainly that outdoorsy stuff?
If I wasn't playing football or basketball during the seasons, it was working at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
And helping, like, pretty much, would you have to get up early and help at home
Feed,
before even leaving for school?
yeah, oh, yeah. You get up in the morning, feed, break ice, so the livestock have water, that kind of stuff. So you usually get up about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Wow.
Same time as my dad. If he wasn't working at warehouse or he was working out in the woods, hauling timber, so he'd get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd get up, take care of the livestock, run in the house, eat breakfast, and out the door we go.
Wow. So what time were you going to bed? Was it an early to bed household?
Oh gosh, no, not with all the drama. And then as time went on, we ended up opening up a feed store up in Cresswell, running a
Okay.
feed store and livestock store there. So yeah, there was never downtime, so to speak. Because even with the feed store, we were hauling, 5 and 10 tons of hay from Eastern Oregon and back over to sell through the store. So if you weren't hauling hay, you were doing vaccinations for somebody, you were running out to their ranch to, help out, or you're always busy.
So you were just grinding right from the start.
Yeah.
And a feed store is really a central part of the community too, right?
Yeah, especially in Cresswell, there's less than 3,000 people there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was actually connected to the post office. So people would come to the post office, hit the feed store, and the Dairy Queen across the street.
Now, did your sisters help too, or was it mainly the guys?
Oh no, they help too. Yeah, they're all ropers, and they barrel race, and
that's so cool.
I was the black sheep. I was the one that didn't stay in the farming industry. Kind of sprawled my wings out when I went in the military, and then I remember coming back. I was I don't know, early 23, 24. No direction. Was doing construction work, for local construction guys. Winter came, there was no work. I answered an ad in the local paper. No experience. Come and work in a nice, cozy office. What's this about? I'd never done office work. So I went down, did my interview, and the lady was like, "Yeah, we are what you call a collection agency." And I'm like, okay, still didn't really know what it was, I'm clueless. So she leaves for about 5-10 minutes, and then comes back in the office in the room and hands me $5,000 in medical bills.
Oh man!
It says, "Yeah, we want to go ahead and give you a offer. You can come and work for us, and we will take a percentage out of each of your check to pay back the debt you owe."
So wait, so they hired you, and basically were saying we'll front you money, and then as you collect,
I owed $5,000 in medical bills that they were going to collect from me.
From you personally?
Right. And so they said, "Well, you owe us $5,000 for these medical bills. We'll hire you, train you how to be a bill collector, but we're going to take a portion of your paycheck until this is paid back."
How did they know that you owed?
No, they saddled him up with somebody else's medical bills, but they said, you owe us $5,000.
Right.
Like, then I assume the medical bills should have exceeded 5K, right? Maybe they were 10K. They wanted 5, so then you could, whatever you made over 5 was yours to keep, but you had to pay them 5K.
Well, yeah, it was my personal debt that right. It was my personal debt.
How did they know?
Well, because the hospital assigned that debt to the collection agency to collect. I happened to answer an ad. I show up in their office. So obviously what they do is anybody that shows up for an interview, they would run them through the system. And they went, "Hey, tag. Hey, we got someone that owes us money."
You didn't run out the door?
No.
That sounds like entrapment.
What's funny, though, is now that I look back at that whole situation, that's where my career in finance began. If it wasn't for that situation, God putting me in that place at that particular time, I went from that to owning mortgage companies, building multi-million-dollar companies for investors, managing $50 million accounts receivables. I would have never learned all this stuff if I wouldn't have walked into that collection agency that day, clueless,
Yeah. How long did you work for them?
Like 4 or 5 years or something. And then I ended up staying, I worked in finance for 35. So all my siblings who are still running cattle, punching cattle and doing that stuff, they're all doing good. They've made it work. But I see the difference in physical movement, abilities. I'm 58, great shape, really don't have any medical conditions. I'm a type 2 diabetic, but I control that with diet and exercise. All my siblings are overweight, a lot of medical issues. They're not out exercising, they're sitting behind a desk all day. My older brother, Scott, who pretty much runs the family business in a sense, he's behind the desk all day. He's not out punching the cattle. He's got people doing that for him, and
Right. Right.
So yeah, it was definitely. And then I went to Arizona and got lost for, you know, I kind of got estranged from the family because I left the state, went to Arizona, got involved in this banking and accounting thing, and got so enthralled with it. Next thing I knew, 15 years had passed by and it seemed like it was a week.
Mm.
You know what I
What's
mean?
amazing? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And life definitely, the older you get, feels like that. That's for sure.
Right.
When you were, because you mentioned you went into the military, when you got into high school, did you know you were going to go into the military, or was college ever discussed in your family as an option?
I had looked at college a little bit, but I actually had gotten into some trouble when I was 17. Nothing major. You know, I was running the streets, smoking dope, breaking any major laws or anything. Kept on getting hauled into court for truancy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the judge gave me an ultimatum. Well, you can go to 6 months in juvie, or you can enlist in the military.
Mm.
My mom said, we're going to the recruiter's office as soon as we leave here. So
Now, you said you lived with another family during the last couple of years of high school. Were you living with that family when all this was going on?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but your mom came.
My mom, my birth mother had passed away in 20,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But when I was coming through the last couple of years of high school and all that, I moved to Crestwell, and lived with a police officer and his wife for a year.
Okay.
That was part of the keeping me out of juvie thing,
Okay.
keep me from getting locked up. So the court said, well, you're going to live with this cop for a year.
Okay.
And if you can get through their program, then great, you'll be fine. Well, I went through the program. It was good experience, no issues there. And then it was like, well, what are we going to do with this, kid, 15, 16 years old? So they put an ad in the local paper, like you would a pet. And they put it in the local small podunk town paper. And this couple, Tom and Marianne Potter, answered the ad. And within a week, I was moving in with them.
Now, was that the cop?
No, this was before or after the cop. So I lived with the cop first, and then.
And was that court ordered, living with the cop?
Yeah.
Was he a friend of the family, or was he a total stranger?
No, but they all became best friends.
Okay. So was that something he volunteered to do, like with the court system, as he would take in kids who like need a little more guidance?
So I was the first kid to go into this program with the state. So my birth mother at this time was raging alcoholic. She was lost, and all the siblings kind of had moved out, and everybody was off doing their thing. And so the state put me in. It was a new program that they were trying out. And the only way you could get into this program through the state, kind of like a foster care type of system, you had to be incarcerated in what they call McLaren. This was years ago. You've heard of McLaren, right?
I have heard of McLaren.
It was like I wouldn't say a full-on prison, but a prison type of for juvenile.
Yep.
Up to 21, I think.
Yep.
I remember correctly. So they were like, okay, we're going to put you in prison. That's how they put it to me. But you're going to be there for 2 weeks. You have to be there for 2 weeks to get into this program. So I was their test dummy. First kid to ever get into this program through looking.
And how old were you then when you went into McLaren?
13, 14.
So you were very young.
Yeah.
So this was during junior high.
Junior high, freshman year in high school. Yeah. So basically what happened was I got caught up in the system, the juvenile system. And mom just kind of washed her hands. They were really bad alcoholics. They ended up, dad left the bar or left the warehouse, or they opened up a bar. That became the life, you know.
Yeah.
After all the kids were, almost all the kids were in adulthood at this point, except for me and my sister.
I was going to say, were you second to youngest?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how much spacing is there between you and your youngest sister?
I think we're 4 years apart.
Okay. So you two are kind of like the last ones in the house.
Yeah.
And everyone else is left, and mom and dad are moving on with their lives, starting this. Now they're in the bar scene.
Right.
And you guys are kind of very Gen X. You're very out there surviving on your own. No one's watching.
Oh, yeah. We didn't have people at home when we came home from school, you know.
Right. Yeah.
We lived out in the middle of nowhere. We lived out, our closest neighbor was probably 3 miles away.
Yeah. So it's not like you had neighbors that so you're coming home from school, as many Gen Xers did, totally on your own, fending for yourself, figuring out everything. But you didn't even have neighbors around you that if there was something you needed, they're far away. So you and your sister were very much on your own.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time out in the woods because we lived up on near Weyerhaeuser property, BLM land and stuff. So you could just go out there and do whatever. I would go out at 12, 13 years old. I would go out into BLM land as far as I could go. And I'd find dead trees and I would build cabins and forts.
Wow.
Out in the woods. And then I remember one time I found an old burn barrel that my dad let me have, and I drug it out into the woods to put in my little cabin that I made, you know. And me and my cousin would sit there and camp out and stay in the cabin, and we thought we were just, you know, we thought we were finding new territory.
Well, that's how I mean, I remember, and I'm from Beaverton, so I'm a suburbia kid, but I remember we lived in Aloha for a while before anyone lived out there. So it was just farmland.
Right.
And you could go even out there. And, you know, of course, I spent a ton of time in the woods, and I'm in Portland, and it felt wildernessy there. Like I remember being a little kid walking around the woods thinking I'm like Grizzly Adams or a Little House on the Prairie. Right? Like that was the vibe, right?
That's what we connected to back then. Yeah. So I was like, I am Grizzly Adams, you know, I'm
100%. Okay. But so around 13, 14, you know, they present you with this option, or your parents, I guess, are presented with this option where you go into the system at McLaren for 2 weeks, and then you go and live with this cop and his wife for a year, and it's like
before that. So I was living at a boys' home in Eugene called Stepping Stone.
Okay.
For troubled male teens. And I never broke laws, never broke into, you know, I wasn't like a thieving kid or a drug addicted kid, or I was just that kid that would always get picked up because I was out running the streets at midnight, 1 o'clock, you know.
Like breaking curfew.
Yeah. It's really what most 99% of it came down to.
Yeah.
I think I got caught with pot once on the gut in Eugene, you know.
They don't care about that now, though.
Now they don't. Yeah. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell?
Be a model citizen.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, were you missing school too? Was that part of it?
No, I never really had that big of a problem with school.
So it was really just you're out past curfew and they're picking you up for that?
Yeah, and run. And I always would hook up with the wrong kids, though. The kids that would go that extra, extreme.
Yeah.
And I knew, especially in the town that we lived in Crestwell, less than 3,000 people, everybody knew everybody. So I was smart enough to at least, you know, not get into any serious trouble.
Yeah.
We go drinking, what was it? What were those things called? You used to get them in like 2-liter bottles of.
Party balls?
No, it's the
kegs?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Wine coolers first came out. You could get them in 2 liters.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes. And it'll come to me. I know what you're talking about, though.
Seagram or not Seagram?
Yeah, but it's like Bartles and James or something like that. Yeah.
I had a buddy who worked at Wayne's Market up in Crestwell, a small local grocery store, and we'd go back there in the Skylark when he would close.
Skylark.
Yeah, Buick Skylark, and he would hand
Yes.
the bottle, the 2 liters of,
Yeah.
Then we'd circle around the store and we'd pick them up and we'd all head down to the river.
There's another drink. It's like something 40. Oh, what was that other
you're
alcohol?
thinking of
The
MD40 or Mad Dog 2020?
Something like, I
it's
know
Old
it's
English.
Old
Old
English.
English.
Malt liquor.
Malt
Yeah,
liquor.
malt liquor, the beer.
Yeah, that
I'd
was
never seen those till I got to Oregon, and then it was like I'm picking up a 40.
yeah.
Right.
Slam one of those and
Yeah.
it's on.
Did you guys drink Henry Weinhard's?
Yeah.
I remember introducing Brian when Brian got to Oregon. We were all like, Oregonians are proud of Henry Weinhard's.
Yeah.
At that time, especially because that was before the whole microbrew boom.
Yeah.
So that was the only beer from Oregon.
Right.
And we were like, he's from Jersey, and everyone's like, you have to drink Henry Weinhard's, making it sound like it's the best beer you've ever had in your entire life. And I think you said you drank it, and you're like, I mean, it's okay.
Well, you Oregonians, you love your your products.
We do.
Yeah.
And the micro beers.
Oh.
I'm not a big beer drinker. If I drink domestic, I get a headache, and by the second beer. So I've always stuck with what I knew, which is Blue Moon. I love Blue Moon.
Yep.
Unfiltered beers. Well, I tried micro beers on the Pacific Crest Trail in 2018 for the first time.
Yeah.
Some of them were nasty. I was like, oh, it's like piss, And then my oldest son turned me on to Angry Orchards.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, I was slamming those things down like water, man. They don't taste like beer,
It's a cider, right?
It's like more of a cider. Yeah, no, it's good. So you went into the boys' home. What was that? Was that 13?
Like 13, 14 years old. 14, because I did my sophomore year in Marcola, the first half. So I finished my sophomore year at the boys.
Okay, so that's even going into 15.
It sounds more like they were taking you from your parents to put you somewhere stable because your parents weren't totally watching you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
right. More about them in some ways than you.
Well, I think, yeah. Well, because I remember that when I went to the boys' home, my mom had drove me to the boys' home, dropped me off there, and drove off, and I didn't see her again for a few years.
Wow. Oh, wow. Did you know that was going to happen, that you weren't going to see her for that long after she dropped you off?
No, at that point, our relationship was really strained. And my mom and my biological dad he was never around. He left when I was like a year and a half old or something. Mm-hmm. So then once all my siblings had moved out, they really focused their attention on my sister, their child that they had together.
Okay.
And I was just kind of flaring out there. So I would act out for the attention, I think, type thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And now when I look back on it, it's like, is what it is. Like,
yeah.
The path that I went through brought me to where I am today, which I think made me a stronger person than I would have been.
Yeah. Of course. So you did, boys' home, McLaren, living with the cop.
Right.
And then did you come home after living with the cop and live at home at all? Or did you go straight from living with the cop to enlisting in the military?
No, I went from living with the cop to living with Tom and Marianne Potter.
The family. The
newspaper
family.
ad.
Okay, the family.
The newspaper ad. In fact, there's an article about it in the, what was that book called? The Reader's Digest.
Okay.
They did a big write-up about that whole story in the Reader's Digest. It's kind of funny.
Featuring you? It was Reader's Digest and you were like the subject, or the program was?
My dad and the program was, and then I was mentioned in it. They had, how I was the first kid to go into this program. And
interesting.
What was the program called?
I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was through Looking Glass.
Okay. Okay. So they run an ad. I assume, is it the court system ran an ad, or the cop and his wife ran an ad?
The cop and his wife, because so what happened was the cop's wife, it was a weird deal. So the state decided to do this program, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cop, his name's Bob, his wife was Carla. Carla was a stay-at-home mom raising her kids. Well, they got somehow or another, they seen the ad about me, or not the ad, but they were in tune with the state somehow, and they heard about this program. Well, Carla decided to get involved, and
Okay.
then I became that first kid to get involved with living with a cop for a year.
Okay. All right.
So, but what happened was through that year, Carla ended up becoming the director of this program for Looking Glass in the state of Oregon. She went from a housewife raising their own family to the director of this of Looking Glass. Pretty
So she got
impressive.
really involved.
Yeah, I unfortunately she passed away, but yeah, so I stayed with them for a year. Once I graduated that program, that's when I went over to Tom and Mary Ann's.
Okay.
Stayed with them until I graduated, and then went into the military. Um, and then after that, I mean, up until today, that's who I call mom and dad. He passed away. Mom's still alive. Dad
Okay.
passed away 3 years ago from a massive heart attack.
Wow.
And yeah, just kind of, so like my half siblings from my bio mom and stepdad, we stay in touch a little bit through Facebook and stuff like that, but we're not real close. We're not tight knit.
Right.
And I'm pretty close with the kids from Tom and Mary Ann, what I call my siblings. Not even step, but you know what I mean? We all look at each other like siblings. And they ended up, after I graduated high school and went in the military, they ended up fostering over 20 kids.
Oh,
wow.
After me.
Were you the first one then for them?
Yep.
That's amazing.
That
is amazing.
And so what they did, and that's where Reader's Digest came into play, because somehow they caught wind about this, because it was Tom and Mary Ann's purpose was to help troubled teens by involving them on the ranch and in the family business. So you get these kids. We had one kid that was 9 years old. Everybody called him Marcus Dorcas. He was a little goofy kid, but he liked the name, So he was 9 years old when they got him. But they bring these troubled teens into the ranch, and everybody started out the same. You're going to muck out and clean out 14 stalls. You're going to put the bedding in. If it takes you 4 days to do it, it's going to take you 4 days to do it. And I tell you, I did it. I seen other kids do it. You sit on your butt, wouldn't do the work that you're supposed to do. Then you think, oh, it's time to go in. I'm getting hungry. Oh no, you didn't get to come in and eat. We'll bring you some food, but you're not coming until these chores are done.
They brought structure.
Structure, yeah, exactly, and
discipline.
Yeah,
discipline, and that's what a lot of these young kids need. They just need structure, discipline, and they truly showed compassion to these kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They ended up adopting some of them.
Oh.
Wow. So your biological mom and stepdad had property, but then also Tom and Mary Ann had property too.
20, 30 acres, yeah.
30 acres. Wow. And was theirs mainly horses? Yep. Or was it all livestock?
Horse and beef.
Okay. So you had vast experience of working land.
With the Potters, because I ended up 16, I think it was, moving in with them until I graduated and went into the military and stuff. But a lot of people don't realize at that time, that period, especially for boys and men, at 15 and 16 up through your early 20s, you're so full of piss and vinegar and testosterone. To me, that's the most important time of a kid's life, or for a boy anyway.
Yeah.
During those early young man, years, where you're trying to figure out what am I supposed to do, where am I supposed to be, and then you throw a troubled teen and what they deal with on top of that, it can just really get, pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's volatile anyways.
Yeah.
A normal teenager, even in the most perfect household, is still volatile, still challenging, still all the normal teenage things, early 20s. So,
Oh,
like you're saying, then throw a kid who's had issues or is troubled, and that's just like double, triple what you're dealing with there. So,
and it's
it's
weird
amazing.
because, like, for me, I could not see myself not raising my kids. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Their
Yeah.
mom was, she's all right. She still lives in Arizona, but I ended up taking custody of all the kids and moving to Oregon once I got full custody with final decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've gone through that 10 years down the road, I stayed single, didn't date, didn't do anything, just focused on work and kids, work and kids. And that was it. And two of them are diabetic, type 1 diabetic. So they're insulin dependent.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, well, why didn't you date? Why did you? It wasn't about me at that point. This was all about them. When I came back, so in 2018, I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail for Junior Diabetes Research Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 6-month hike. I came back from that hike. All the kids were living with mom, and I came back just to a complete shit show. Kids busting out the windows at 3 in the morning and running away at 11 o'clock, or I mean, at 10 and 11 years old.
Oh, geez.
Smoking dope, running with the wrong crowd. I mean, just craziness.
Yeah.
Mom was, let's put it this way, from the stories I was told and the pictures that I seen, she had beer on each tray in the fridge for different guys that would come over, so she'd have their beer separated. And
Yeah.
and that went on the whole time I was on trail, and I didn't know about it.
Okay.
And then, she took the house phone and hid it, put it in the storage pup so they couldn't have a phone when they came home from school while she was at work, because she didn't want them calling me and,
Jeez.
all that. So I came back from the hike in 2018, and 3 days later, after being in the wilderness for 6 months, I get slapped with this crazy shit show going on. My oldest son, Joey, who is now word of the court, Tyler,
Wow.
his younger brother, they're 13 months apart. They're both now becoming ward of the court. Tyler's still with mom, but Joey's now in a boys' home.
Wow.
So I just went into survival mode. That's the only thing I can really kind of relate it to, is I just went into survival mode. My first thought was, I got to keep them from getting locked up. And I know, especially the boys, Joey's 21 and Tyler's 20 now, but at that age, they were 12, 13. Getting thrown into a boys' detention center would have been the worst thing for them, because what do? They build camaraderie in those places, right? It doesn't become for most kids, punishment. It becomes a social, place. Hey, we'll meet up when we get out. And I'll look you up when I get out.
Yeah.
They go out and they cause more problems. So
Right.
my goal was to really prevent Joey from getting locked up and in that situation. Well, at this point, he had already got hit from stealing from Target, stupid toys, stuff, So I just went into that mode. And so I was 3 days back from the trail. I had to get a place, get it furnished, fully operational, have the kids registered in school before the state would even let them come and stay with me. Because the state was like, where did you go for 6 months?
Right.
Well, I had to explain this, my kids are diabetic. I did this hike for JDRF and all this stuff. So then the state, for 6 months, I had someone from the state of Arizona in my house 5 days a week, every day.
Wow.
Interviewing kids, interviewing me, family, I don't know what they would call it, support people coming in. we'd have to do family therapy and all that stuff. And I'll tell you guys, I mean, the stories would blow your freaking mind, man. It's just crazy shit. So here I am. I'm from the trail, single dad. I'm trying to save the two boys right now.
Mm-hmm.
My two daughters are with mom still. I had to sleep in the leaned up against my front door because my boys would sneak out at night out of the apartment, run in the streets. I put sticks in the windows, you know, sleeping against the door so they couldn't get out, all this crazy shit. Couple of times I found out Joey had snuck out before I was doing that, right? Meeting up with gangs out on the streets of Phoenix, dropping, what were they taking? Xanax? Popping Xanax and stuff and getting real high and goofy. And I remember one morning I wake up at 7 in the morning. I've got family counselors and stuff coming to the house in 1 hour. Joey's not in the house. I'm like, where the hell's he at?
Yeah.
So I'm running all over the apartment complex looking for him. Can't find him. Freaking out. These guys, you know, now I've got probation officers, juvenile probation officers getting ready to come to the house, you know. I find Joey out in the parking lot of the apartment complex, and he's just out of it, completely out of it, clueless. I could tell he was on something, right? So I'm like, get your ass house, get your ass and go lay down. I'll figure this shit out, you know. 20, 30 minutes later, there's a knock on the door, probation, the state, 3 people. Oh, we're here to do our, you know, weekly meeting. And keep in mind, I've got these every day, Monday through Friday for 6 months, different agencies, different people, right? So they're like, well, we need Joey out here too. We need the boys out here in the living room. And I'm kind of in panic mode going, the kid can't even hardly stand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I get him in the living room. He's laying in the couch. And I don't know why, but I bullshit my way through it. And I'm like, yeah, he's been taking, what was it? What is that stuff called? That cough syrup that they drink?
NyQuil.
NyQuil. I said, yeah, he's been on NyQuil for the last 2 days. He's really sick. And they bought it. As he's sitting on the couch like this. He's licking the couch.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And not even staying like coherent, right?
Right, right.
And they're like, oh, well, we'll have him go back into his room and go back to sleep. Hopefully he gets feeling better.
Yeah.
I'm like, these people are fucking stupid. I would have picked that shit out, you know, 3 minutes in the house. But so that I give that a lot to, you know, my Lord Jesus Christ. He's just there. He was in control of the situation, and for you know, for whatever reason. So to make a long story short, I went through all this.
Yeah.
And none of them ever seen the front door of a juvenile detention system.
And you know what? It's amazing because of what you went through. You were probably 100 times more determined to make sure that that didn't happen for them.
Absolutely.
And you broke that generational trauma. You went in and fought for that.
And prepared.
Yeah, you went in and you were like, this isn't happening with my kids. It happened with me. It's not happening with my kids. And you broke that cycle.
Yeah, I guess I never really took the time to think about it that way.
Good job.
Yeah, no, honestly. And I think a lot of
you're in survival mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stop to think about that kind of stuff.
I think as parents, a lot of us Gen Xers have worked really hard to be the person that we needed when we were for our own kids. We became the person we needed when we were a kid for our kids.
Because we were all, what do they call it? Latchkey kids or something?
Yeah. Yeah. And to break the generational trauma, to break the cycle. I mean, you're sleeping against a door so your son doesn't sneak out. That takes effort. That takes strength. That takes not giving up on your kid. The hardest thing is parenting. It's easy to let your kids do whatever they want. It's hard not.
Right.
So hard. And the fact that you broke that cycle is amazing, honestly, that you went through all that. And because of your own experience, especially, you were determined to not let that happen to your sons.
Yeah, because I didn't want to see them get wrapped up in the same thing. And yeah.
Yeah. So so to go back to your story in this is that, so you had gone through this program, you had done all the things, you had done the boys home, you had done McLaren, you had done the year with the cop, you had done your time with Tom and Marianne, who became your parents. I'm saying their names right?
Yep,
Tom
yep,
and
yep,
Marianne. Okay,
yep.
so those became your family. So I don't understand, why did the court still insist that you needed to enlist in the military?
So I had to been, well, it was my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
I don't even remember why. I don't even remember what I did, but somehow, because I was still in that program, I did something stupid, but not detrimental. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even remember. It had to have been that stupid. I don't even remember what it was, but I just remember I had to go to court over it, juvenile court, and that's where the judge was like, "I'm gonna, gave me the ultimatum. You're almost 18.
Yeah.
You can either finish out your 6 months of being 17 in juvie or go in the military."
So
that was in Crestwell?
Yeah.
So it almost sounds like you were kind of on quote unquote probation or whatever, like
Yeah.
they would call that. And if you did one thing wrong, now
Right.
you're, so whatever it was, it could have been
That
small.
program that I got into and all that.
Yeah.
And I was still word of the court because I wasn't an adult.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't emancipated.
Right.
So they still had to check in with the state and, all that.
So what branch of the military did you enlist in?
Army.
And how long did you serve?
Well, I served 3 years, no action, no duty, dead time. It was nothing going on. We got called out to help with some forest fires in Oregon. And I got injured and got hit in the eye with a dirt clod that had a rock in it and gave me 20/200 vision in my left eye. So I ended up getting a medical honorable discharge.
Okay.
3 years in my military.
So what does that mean in your left eye? Is it blurry?
Yeah, it's legally blind. You can't tell. My pupil stays completely dilated in my left eye.
Yeah.
And so if I close my right eye, I still have light, and I can kind of see objects, but everything's blurred.
Okay. So then you get a medical discharge. And did you travel at all? Like, were you stationed anywhere?
No.
So it was just local.
Yeah. I wasn't, because when I enlisted, I went to Georgia, did my basic training, AIT, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Came back for 4 weeks, was waiting to get my, where I was going to be stationed at, my orders to go to my station. And that's when we got called to fight this fire. My unit. Some of them were here in Oregon. We just got out of AIT and stuff. So we had to join forces with the Oregon National Guard and go down to, where was that? Close to Medford, I think. I don't think it was that far down, but it's called the White Horse Fire, mid-'80s.
Maybe so, like Grants Pass?
Grants Pass, I think, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we went down and so that's when I got injured during that time. So I didn't even have 180 days of active military in before I got booted and discharged with a medical honor.
Now, did they?
So what they did is they kept me enlisted for 3 years, but unactive. And now, then after 3 years, they finally gave me a boot.
Did they give you any benefits, like for college or
nothing
then. Like that? So then, did you ever?
They gave me a stipend, I think, of like $12,000 or something. 22 years old, I probably pissed that away at strip clubs and bars. Who knows?
So when you had the medical discharge, what did you do? What was your next step?
Question. Boy, you're really digging. She's getting a whole timeline. So I was 9 pounds. No. So what happened? So I went to work at a couple lumber mills in Crestwell, Cottage Grove, just dead end jobs at the time, pulling green chain, doing what I could do to get by. No real goals or anything. And I heard about this thing called Job Corps. I think my mom or somebody had mentioned it to me, and I was like, "What's Job Corps?" Okay. And at this point, I had an apartment for a while. I was couch hopping on friends' couches, working at the mills together and stuff. And so I started checking out this Job Corps thing, and kind of put it off on the back burner. Got the job at the collection agency. Did that for a few years, and then I went back to that Job Corps thing because I kept on remembering. I remembered Job Corps will take people up to 26 years old.
Okay.
At certain campuses.
Right.
So I was like, well, let's try this thing out again. This pulling green chain. I see all these guys that are disabled and crippled by the time they're 40. I don't want to be that guy, right? So I ended up checking out the Job Corps thing and went up to Washington and got into the Job Corps program for business management.
So what is the Job Corps program? Is it where they will cover your college courses?
Basically, well, so it's on the job training.
Okay.
And then if you graduate through the on job training program and they house you, they feed you, they give you a stipend every month, It's a great program. It started out for troubled kids. Now anybody and everybody can join.
Okay.
Doesn't cost you anything. It's federally funded. In fact, I have a cousin that just graduated last year, and is now a bulldozer operator. So they do heavy equipment down to finance and everything in between, nursing courses and that kind of thing. So it's like a college campus. I was in a dorm, but you go to job training every day. If you don't have your diploma or a GED when you first enter into Job Corps, the first thing they do is they get you your GED or your diploma, depending on how many credits you're short. And then you go into your field of choice and you start on the job training. Once you've completed that on the job training, you can stay in Job Corps and they will extend your post education to get your associate's degree.
Okay.
And you can stay on campus and go to a local community college or whatever and get your associate's degree.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question, but let's come back to this. But you mentioned the green train. What is that?
Green chain?
Green chain, yeah.
Green chain. Yeah, in plywood, when you're working in the lumber mill, especially in a plywood production company where they're producing sheets of plywood, you can do it in lumber too, dimensional lumber, but I did it in the plywood area. So you're pulling green chain. So you know how your plywood has multiple layers, okay, of sheeting. So when they peel that log, it'll peel out a gross size sheet of laminate, or not laminate, but of wood, plywood, very thin, 1/8 of a millimeter thin. And that'll come down on a chain table. And you got guys that are standing on each side of the table, and you're grading that sheet as it comes down. So it might be A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade, whatever they're running through the peeler, the log peeler for that ship. And then you have to pull that stuff off of a green chain, what they call a green chain, a big conveyor. Pull that off into goes into a tray on wheels, basically. And you build these big stacks. And then they take that and they run it through a dryer. Because when they're peeling it off the log, it's wet and they're running water over it. So I would pull that stuff off wet. And there's a trick to it. You got to learn the trick of the trade, right? So you're pulling a 4x5 or 5x6 sheet of laminate coming off of a log. You got to flip it off of that table, and if you do it right, it'll float off that table, and you can control it into the stack. So you're just pulling that all day long. Pulling green chain is what they call it. It's a very physical, demanding job, especially if you're doing it with dimensional lumber. So, like, every time you go into a lumber store, Home Depot, whatever, and you see a unit of wood, that was hand stacked off a green chain by somebody in that mill.
Okay. And I can see how physically doing that repetitive.
Is that the danger of it all? The repetitive nature of the physical work that eventually just shoot your joints or elbows, whatever it is.
Yeah, and you can't let the tables. You ever seen that Lucille
Yes.
skit where they're doing the candies?
Yes.
And it starts backing up.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be able to keep that table clean so that the lumber doesn't back up and you have to shut everything down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I've seen, especially in the plywood industry, I've seen laminate that will split off into shards. I've seen it stick through people's arms and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be a dangerous job, but it's really a physically demanding job.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it that still goes on up here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, so you worked the medical billing, got that experience. You went into the Job Corps and you chose business?
Business management, yeah.
And did you finish that program?
Yeah.
And then did they set you up with a job?
Well, I could have had the option, but at that time I had a girlfriend that was not in Job Corps. She had her own apartment. I finished Job Corps. I was right there in that apartment. And, but I ended up not going into business management, and I went to a lumber yard and I drove forklift for a couple of years.
And this is still in Oregon?
Yeah. And doing construction work. And then that's when I found the job at the collection agency.
Oh, okay. So you
winter hit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of jobs in the construction business. And I didn't want to go back into the mill business, working in the mills.
Yeah.
So that's how I found that job at the collection agency at Al Gordon and Associates. And the rest is history. I had a knack for getting money out of people.
Okay, so that was after. I was thinking that was before Job Corps. So you did Job Corps and then you went into the collection agency.
Correct.
And then and then you just did that in Oregon. For how long were you in Oregon doing that?
Up until 1999, I think I was 33.
Okay.
And then
did you marry during that time or anything, or were you?
Yeah, I got married when I lived in Washington, and found out 7 years later the child wasn't mine.
My goodness.
But we had divorced early, like 2 years in, because she would always make, it was a very, hostile relationship. She was full-blooded Indian. She was an alcoholic. She'd get physical.
Okay.
Growing up, I was always taught, you're a man. If you get hit by a woman, you take it. You know what I mean? I ended up leaving. We got divorced. I stayed in the child's life up until he was 5. And then found out that I wasn't the biological dad. And then she wouldn't allow me to see him anymore.
My goodness. Have you seen him since?
No, he's mid-20s now, or 30s, actually.
That's rough.
I don't even know where he's at. I tried to find him. But
how old were you when that happened?
Early mid-20s.
So this is after the Army.
25. Yeah, this was Job Corps. I met her in Job Corps. She actually worked there.
Okay.
And I was a student, and then got involved with her, and then.
Okay. So you got married, you got divorced, you lived in Oregon working finance basically until 99?
Yeah, 99. I had a buddy of mine. We were both working at the collection agency. Well, he had gotten married and left state and went to Arizona. We were like best friends for a long time. And he called me up one day and he goes, dude, you got to get down here. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Hot. It's Arizona. I don't know shit about it, right? He's like, I can get you on with a mortgage company down here. I'm like, what mortgage company? I don't know shit about it, right? He's like, just come down here, trust me. Just one of those whims. Again, I think God leading me to go. It was just one of those things where I woke up 2 days later, not really knowing what I was doing, but I was packing all my stuff and I was loading my truck and not really, you're kind of in a fog.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew it was the right thing to do. Don't ask me how, but. And loaded up my truck, went and got my last paycheck, and I started heading down the road to Arizona. Didn't know anybody there except for my buddy Tony. Didn't know what I was going to do. Had $1,000 in my pocket. No place to stay. His wife didn't. She didn't like us being friends because we drank a lot. But she had left for like a month to go to her parents that was out of state. So he's like, "You can stay with me for the month. You know, Cindy isn't going to be there. You know, and I'll help you out, and we'll get you into a place and get you set up." So I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. So I drove down, and for the first 2 weeks, it was just a party. And then he had a buddy that lived in his same HOA community who had just became single and had a 3-bedroom house. His name was Chris. And he goes, "Oh, hey, I'll rent you a room. I got a place." All right, cool. And then Tony was like, "I can get you a job at this mortgage company," but it was commission only.
Mm.
So I went there for the first 2 months and I tried to figure out what it was all about. Well, it really intrigued me, the finance side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I didn't know enough. I sink. So I went to work for a couple of big collection agencies in Phoenix, big national agencies, and just did really well. Learned that I had a knack. I was always the number 1, number 2 producer every month. I like conversing with people, fact finding. There's a lot of fact finding in that job and trying to get information without letting the person know you're fact finding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Through just normal conversation. And found out I had a knack for it. So I spent between Washington and Arizona, I spent about 30 years, or I should say about 20 years in the third party collection business.
Wow.
So once I realized I liked it, I was good at it. I had a couple opportunities where some investors had more money than they knew what to do with. Were interested in the debt buying business. And I said, "Well, shoot, I know everything about it you need to know. I just always happen to be in the right place at the right time and the right people involved." So, in collections, I ended up working for an attorney who taught me all the legal regulations and state and federal and when it comes to debt regulation and all that. And I buried myself in that industry and learned everything I could possibly learn in the first 10 years about debt buying, credit, reporting, how to sue somebody, how to execute on a writ of garnishment, how to, garnish someone's wages if I need to, how to attach assets, so I just buried myself in that business and went back to the mortgage business when the mortgage boom really took off in like 2004, 2005.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I said, well, I was out there for about 3 months at a mortgage company. And all these guys are working with realtors and trying to find people to, get business from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there going, I don't know anybody. I don't know shit. I don't know, run an ad, I don't know what the hell, how am I going to get business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back then, if you got in the mortgage business, they didn't give you leads. You go find your own shit, just like a realtor, right?
Yeah.
And then I had a light bulb that went off one day. I'd spent like 3-4 weeks. Where am I going to find homeowners? How do I solicit people? How do I get business? I had another buddy of mine who was at a collection agency, and he had called me up, and he was asking me about the mortgage business and all this and how it was going. I said, "Yeah, just struggling for accounts, man, just trying to find business." And he goes, "I'll tell you what, He goes, I'm working this new product for American Express. And these are all charged off debt. Their accounts are like 2-3 years old, you know. That's the sweet spot in the age of debt. If you can catch a consumer typically within 2 years, they've rebound from their credit situation. And you can typically get a debt settled or paid. He goes, well, I'll start screening homeowners for you and I'll send them your way. And if you can do a refinance and get me paid. And I was like, fucking brilliant. Fucking brilliant, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm down. Do that shit. These are prime borrowers because they're all Amex customers.
Yeah.
It's not shitty credits, you know, subprime paper, that type of thing. I can get you guys in on the truth in lending on the till and get you paid out directly from the lender at closing. And I can typically get these loans closed within 60 days. So this is great. So I did a couple. It worked. And I was just like, holy fuck. Fuck. Okay. How do I expand on this? I'm going to start calling fucking collection agencies everywhere, right? So I did. I just started calling collection agencies. I get some collector that just answered the phone, and I'd pitch him. Hey, my name's Wes with American Home Loans, and I used to be a debt collector like you. I can help you get into commission faster. Well, how? Send me your homeowners. I'll refinance them, make sure they get paid. You get paid through the refi on the truth in lending. I'll send you the check directly to your company so you don't have to worry about, you know, the debtor getting it.
Yeah.
And you'll get paid. I was putting collectors in commission so fast, I couldn't, my phone was fucking blowing up. Because
It makes sense.
this collector was telling the collector next to him was telling the guy next to him.
Yeah.
These are big
Yeah.
call centers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got to the point within like 2 weeks, I had more business than I could handle. So I started giving shit out to other loan officers. I don't care. I don't need to get paid on it. Just get it closed. Let me know when it closes so I can make sure this bill collector gets paid, right?
Yeah.
So about 2 months goes by and I get called into the GM's office. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing? And I knew this guy from previous years. His name was Matt. He was a buddy of mine before I got in the mortgage business. So Matt calls me into his room, into his office, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? He goes, you're out producing everybody on the floor and you're giving people business. What's the catch? So keep in mind, they were only closing 3 to 4 loans a month at this point.
Wow.
I come in, now we're closing 14 to 20.
Yeah.
In 60 days. So I said, well, this is kind of what I got going on. This is what I'm doing. So he fucking calls his partner, Don. Don, come in my office, right? So Don comes in. Explain this to Don. So I explained the whole thing again. And they're like, do you think you could, like, expand on that? And I was like, well, yeah. And they said, see what you can do in 90 days. Don't write me loans. Just get leads and give them out to the other loan officers. They had like 8 LOs in there at the time. Let's see what you can do. All right. 90 days later, we were closing over 50 loans a month.
Wow.
So then I was like, well, fuck. And I'm only getting leads from maybe 4 or 5 collection agencies, right? So I went to Matt and Don and I said, well, let's go to lunch. I got a proposal for you guys. And I'm still pretty green in the mortgage business, but I know enough to get through an application.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'll tell you what, I want you guys to give me a shot. Give me 90 days to travel the country. I will go into collection agencies and I will pitch them personally. I'll train their people how to pre-qualify a homeowner and I'll build the biggest fucking pipeline of loans that you've ever seen. And they're like, all right, we'll give you a shot. So 90 days in, they are now, we went from 8 loan officers to like 15. We're adding more loan officers. Now I'm getting calls from collection agencies saying, hey, we heard from this collector over here about you guys do work with collection agencies and so then what I ended up doing is I ended up branding a program I called the HELP program, Home Equity Loan Program. And it was the acronym HELP. So then what I did is I just went to a fucking banner place and I had them print me out a bunch of big banners, black banners that said American Home Loans, HELP in big cap letters, right?
Yeah.
Help loan program. And I went to a bunch of collection agencies and I hung them fuckers up in on their call floors. And I said, now train your collectors to pre-screen, because that's part of your job as a bill collector. Verify information, pre-screen, and then try to collect, right? I said they're already asking their debtors the question: are you a homeowner? How long have you owned your home? How much is your mortgage payment? It's a perfect opening to go in and say, hey, have you looked at doing a debt consolidation refinance? So that took off and it really started going well. I started traveling all over the country, different states. I've been to 47 of the 50 states in the country in the lower 48, 47 out of the 40. And I just kept on doing it over and over and over, right? Well, I was going to their store and I'd spend sometimes 2 or 3 days talking about how to don't juggle don't make what's the word I'm looking for? Don't make a you know what I'm talking about. I'm having a brain fart.
Like don't commingle the mortgage or refi with the debt type of thing.
Yeah, basically know that we'll check if it's there.
Okay, that you've got the equity in the home type of thing.
Right, or we'll find out if we do.
Yeah.
And we would typically start off with 80, and just depending on the consumer, what we've seen on the black good and bad, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we would check it out, and we'd know, and we'd figure it out. So make a long story short,
lying or hiding shit when you're doing a refi, right, or even a mortgage. You guys find everything you need to know.
Yeah, everything. And
yeah.
so
There's no secret.
Some of them, if they're at 90% LTV, then we just close it out, and yeah, sorry, nothing we can do, and we'd update the collector and send them back over to them, and they'd figure out what they were going to do. But
so how did the housing bust?
Well, this is before that.
I know. How did the housing bust affect you?
In 07, so at this point, kind of go back. So when the housing crisis hit, I had at this point had opened up the HELP program and was running the home equity loan program and doing that whole gig there. So in 2007, when the crash came, within 48 hours, I was completely unemployed.
Really?
Oh yeah, they came in. It was on the news. They came in and basically came into our call center. We were in a big ass building, and they took all of the subprime mortgage companies, and they all got closed up. The only people that were operating at that point in 07 were AA credit mortgage companies in your banks. And most of them were starting to close up those programs as well.
When you say they, are you talking federal agencies or just the owners of the company? Because it completely stopped, right? All mortgages basically stopped. Right. So it was just like we're shutting down type of thing.
Yeah, well, what happened was that they came in and the government started changing the programs, because about every 8 years or so, the mortgage business takes a hit. Typically rising on interest rates, the cost to do the loan, and a bunch of different factors that come into play. But in 2017, they started with the subprime lenders, the people. You could have a 500 credit score and still get a refinance if you had enough equity in your home. And then, so they killed that first. Then the FICO score went to the lowest FICO score we could take was a 580. That's called medium subprime lending. So it's not the bottom of the barrel. It's kind of mid. It's not prime. And then the lenders that were focusing on the subprime lending and the mid prime lending were the companies that were closing up shop as fast as you could hit
Yeah.
a remote control.
So within 48 hours, you were done?
Done.
So what did you do?
So what did I do? So for the first year, I just tried to find a way to get back into the business, into the mortgage business. But there was so many mortgage companies that had closed and few that were up and running, it was almost impossible to get on with somebody.
Yeah.
So I ended up opening up a couple of collection agencies for some investors, out-of-state investors, one guy out of Tennessee, and excuse me, they would hire me to come in and get their licensing in place, find the building, staff it, train everybody, bring in their clients so they have business to collect on. So basically, I had spent 1 or 2 years building up a collection agency to full operational capacity, and then I would hand over the keys to the investor and go on to the next.
Would you do all of this in Arizona, or were you traveling and doing this?
This was all in Arizona.
Okay.
So most of the collection agencies that I built were all in AZ.
Okay. So you did that for a few years?
Right.
Had you made enough money in the mortgage business where you could kind of chill, or was it still?
That's a good question.
Needed to grind.
No, I was still grinding because my whole goal at that time, when in 07, what I was shooting for was to make satellite offices, build satellite offices in like 6 states, starting in Arizona, right? So all the money that I was making off of the National Debt Recovery Department, I was putting right back into the department so that I could hire more loan officers, build out the stations. And I was still really pushing on my campaigns right now for new customers, new clients. So at this point, I had landed at Discover Card, American Express as my 2 main clients, a bunch of different lenders, banks, Bank of America. I always shoot for the big ones, right? That's always been my mantra. Go for the
Those
big
are
ones.
marquee names.
Yeah. And so when the crash came in 07, I'll never forget it. I got a call at home in my underwear. I was getting ready for work that day. And they said, turn on the TV. I turned on the TV and I see loan officers walking out of my office with equipment.
Wow.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? I hadn't even heard about this shit yet. It all happened that fast overnight.
Wow.
I log into my computer, and at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what their title was at the time, but whoever handled government housing with Fannie Mae and Fannie Mac and all that, had sent out a letter to all the mortgage brokers across the country saying that all these programs were being shut down. Happened literally overnight.
So you guys had no idea it was coming?
No idea it was coming.
It's wild too, because you had those marquee customers. You would have no indication either.
Yeah, they were sending over all these, customers.
Yeah.
We were killing it. At this point now we're booking over we were doing over $12 million of volume a week in refis. And we were paying off, Amex and Discover and all these guys. I had the executive team from Discover Card come out from Ohio and meet with us in Phoenix and Scottsdale, Arizona, and met with them and pitched them this program and put it together to make this thing work. And lost it in 07 as fast as I could have lost it when the market crashed.
So after the market crashed and all this happened, you were still hustling.
Oh, I had boxes and boxes of stress balls, stress houses, mouse pads, wrists, everything. Because I would go into these big call centers and I would hand out all of this merchandise.
Yeah.
And mugs and all this shit. And they would send me their leads of homeowners. And I just continued to build off of that. So when 07 came and the market crashed, all of your subprime and alt A lenders closed shop. The only people that could get a loan were anybody with excellent credit. No collection accounts, no, issues.
So then you started doing these. You started becoming almost like a consultant to help
collection
people
agent.
set up collection agencies.
Well, right. Yes. So I helped 4 different investors open up shops in Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Paradise Valley, Arizona.
Okay. And then what did you do after that? After helping, you said you did that for a few years. Then what did you do?
And this is what's odd, is I answered an ad one day for a fire equipment and life safety company based out of Arizona. Didn't know shit about it. And they wanted someone to make collection calls. That's all they wanted, just a bill collector to come in, and never had worked in QuickBooks or anything like that. So I showed up, did the interview. They offered me the position. And within 12 months, I had taken over the department, got rid of their accounts receivable manager, and took over their accounts receivable. That was the first 12 months. 18 months in, I decided I'm going to do this hike, the Pacific Crest Trail, right?
What motivated you to do that?
It was an odd situation. I had seen the movie with Reese Witherspoon called, I think, The Mile or something like that, where she hiked the Pacific Crest Trail.
Okay.
Did you ever see that movie?
I haven't seen that. I didn't even know she made a movie.
Yeah, me neither.
About that.
It's called Mile or The Mile.
All right, now I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon did it. And basically, she hiked the first 1,000 miles of the PCT.
Now, is this a documentary or is this a fictional movie?
Fictional movie.
Okay. So you were motivated from the movie?
I watched that movie, and what pissed me off about that movie is I was born and raised in Oregon.
Yeah.
And never heard of the Pacific Crest Trail the whole time I'd lived here. Didn't even know it. Been on it. Riding horses. Been on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just never correlated Pacific Crest Trail. So anyway, so I decided to do this hike.
So you were 18 months into you had taken over at this fire and safety.
Oh yeah, so we're at Hillard. Okay, so
yes,
but at this point, are you married with kids at all, or?
Yeah, so
I'm now divorced.
First divorce, right?
Yeah. So and then I remarried in 04, I think, in Arizona.
Okay, so while you're a mortgage lender and during all that time, the collection agency mortgage lender, you're married and starting a family.
Kids. We've got 4 kids together. Yeah, I'm doing all that.
How did you meet your wife, or ex-wife now?
Yeah, at a bar.
Okay, so you guys met at a bar.
Met at a club, at a bar one night in Arizona.
Was she from Arizona?
Yeah. And her dad is a very successful entrepreneur. And so him and I hit it off. He builds stuff. It's crazy, but and so her dad and I kind of got along pretty good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we ended up getting married, and then we had 4 kids. And
how long from the time you guys met to you got married?
It was like a year and a half.
And then did you have all 4 kids pretty close together?
Yeah. So my youngest is 14, Jessica. She lives with mom. The other 3 live with me. So Jessica's 14, Sedona is 18, Tyler is 20, and Joseph is 21.
Yeah, so that's pretty close together.
Yeah.
So you guys are married when you're going through all this stuff. When the housing crisis happens, you guys are still married. You're working for the company. You've helped the different companies start the collection agency businesses for a few years, and then now you're working at the fire and safety company. Is that correct? Yeah. And you pretty much revamped, it sounds like, that whole system. It sounds like everywhere you go, you level it up. From what I'm hearing, you start somewhere and you take it up to the next level and kind of take over a little bit.
I do, and that's an Achilles heel because it's gotten me in trouble before with places, because I'll come in, I just have this, I don't know what you call it, knack, whatever, but I get in, give me a couple of days, and I can start finding issues. Well, that needs to be fixed. There's a problem there. Your productivity is lagging because of this or this person. I'm used to running large call center. I'm used to doing training seminars where I'm training 600 or 1,000 people at a time up on a stage. So with PowerPoint and all that stuff. So it's just that leadership coy, I guess, that I have in me, where it just automatically kicks in and you start, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a presence.
You're a problem solver. You see what needs to be solved, and you start solving it. So what?
But it can come off really cocky to some people.
Yes.
They think, oh, this guy, is a jackass, cocky. But
especially
I'm like,
if it's underperforming.
Yeah. But 99% of the time, I'm right. I'm never wrong.
Yeah. And it depends on who you're talking. That if you're talking to people that are fairly secure, then they probably take it better than people who are coming from a more insecure place. Like they're naturally going to be offended by whatever you have to say. Even if what you're saying is rational, they're not going to take it well because of where they are, more than where you are.
Well, and a lot of times it'd be kind of like, well, who's this new guy coming in here?
Yeah.
So I had to learn to kind of play it off and just, my first couple of weeks, just another soldier. Just put me in a desk. I'll do my thing. I'll shut up, keep to myself,
Yeah.
But it always ends up coming out. Typically, if they hear my TO or my talk off, because it's always been the same for years. I come in, ID myself, ID who I'm talking to, get the facts, get the information, find a solution, and try to wrap up that call in 3 to 5 minutes and move on to the next.
That's probably why you're so successful always in collections and in mortgage. There's also a sales technique to all of that. You're selling people to give them your information so you can collect money from them. That's a sales technique.
Yeah.
Same with mortgages. So, there's a lot of levels to what you were doing and why you were good at it. It sounds like you were at that fire and safety company. You said you were 18 months in before you went on the hike. Did you leave that job to go hike?
Now, here's the crazy shit about that job. I still look back and I kind of shake my head. So I was there for 18 months, but I want to say 12 or 13 months in, I decided I was going to do that hike, right? The Pacific Crest Trail. So I was trying to do the right thing, thinking that the more time I give them, the better it's going to look on me. I'm not going to look like a piece of shit. And my reputation is important to me in business. So I gave them a 6-month heads up. In 6 months, I'm going to go do this hike. Just letting you know, if you have time. And I'd just signed a deal with JDRF, Junior Diabetes Research Foundation, to make them my affiliate partner. And I had a couple of sponsors. Well, in this meeting at at the time it was called American Fire Equipment and Safety. So I'm kind of giving them a heads up what I plan, what my plans are, and all that. Well, all of a sudden they're like, well, how can we get involved? So I'm sitting there not expecting that whatsoever, right?
That's nice. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I can add you guys as a sponsor, I guess. Throw you on the shirt. And they're like, oh, you're going to do sponsors? So then they start collaborating. And they're like, well, what if we give you a 6-month leave of absence, keep your position, you go do this hike, promote us with your other sponsors, and then we'll keep your job here when you come back, and then you can come back and do your thing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Right?
Yes.
Did you counter with as long as you keep paying me for 6 months? Or
yeah, I tried. That didn't work.
Yeah. That would have been real nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I was just I was very thankful to be able to finally open up about it while I was at work and talk to people, and not having to have this big secret,
Yeah. Well, okay,
yeah, we skipped that whole.
So this is, I assume that this inspiration came from 2 of your children being type 1. Is that where this came from?
Well, I knew I wanted to hike the Pacific Crest Trail when I watched that movie.
Yeah.
Wild with Reese. God, I can't wait to get my teeth. Reese Witherspoon. spoon. Okay.
Yes.
Um,
So was the inspiration behind these partnerships with the junior diabetes and all of that because of your two children
correct.
that were they're type 1? Is that what started this?
Yeah, because they were at this point now are, well, I should take that back. One is diabetic
Okay.
at this point.
At that point, did you know right away? Is it that
Yeah,
they were diabetic?
because we were at home when Tyler, my 20-year-old son, he was diagnosed first. And I was still married to his mom at that point. We were still together and all that stuff. Sedona was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes like 5-6 years later.
Okay. Was this when they were young children?
Well, Tyler was 7 and Sedona was 13.
What are the symptoms?
And keep in mind, Tyler is older than Sedona. So Tyler was diagnosed at 7. Sedona was diagnosed at 13. Sedona's 18 now and Tyler's 20.
Okay. So what were the symptoms that led you to the path of discovering that they were type 1?
Well, with Tyler, he became really skinny. But didn't know it because he was, his clothes were baggy on him. And at this age, he's like 7, 8 years old, 7, I think. So we're kind of giving him a little bit of privacy in the shower, that type of thing. And I happened to walk in on him as he was out of the shower drying off. And I about shit my pants. It looked like a bag of bones. I could see every bone in his body. So that was my first, what the hell is wrong? And I'm like, Tyler, you are you look malnourished. What the hell? What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel fine. Da, da, da. Well, his mom was really thin like that when she was a kid too. So I was like, okay, well, you look pretty thin, concerned, but.
Right.
And we go to the skate park that day. We go to the skate park, and this kid cannot keep down water or Gatorade. He's just drinking it as fast as he could go, and he's peeing it out as fast as he could go. So I jumped on my phone looking for symptoms, and it said diabetes. I didn't really know much about diabetes at that point. And it was a Friday afternoon, 5, 6 o'clock, right? So I take him home. He jumps in the shower. That's when I see him. Bag of bones. So I start asking him about it. You look really thin, and you okay? Da, da, da. By that evening, Friday, he's starting to pass out. We can't keep him awake. So Kim, my ex-wife, his mom, finally says, I'm going to take him into the hospital and get him checked out. And I was like, yeah, we need to, because all the symptoms now we're looking on our phones. It's saying diabetes. So she takes him in. She has to carry him into the ER. His blood sugar is at just under 1,200.
My goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, off the charts high, right?
Yeah.
So he ends up in the hospital for like almost 2 weeks. As they're getting his blood sugar, we're like, what's diabetes? What is this shit? What's going on?
Yeah.
And Tyler's done really well with his diabetes. Doesn't have issues. He bullets it. He's always on point with it. He's really good. So then we found out that it could be hereditary with the family. So we had everybody checked out for the possibility. They can tell you if you may have it in the future or not, or, the possibilities.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact terminology for it, but there's a test that they run. They can tell you probability if you're going to have type 1 diabetes or not, or if you, well, so we had that test run on the other 3 kids, and they all came back good except for Sedona. That test was spot on. 5 years later, she was admitted in the hospital, blood sugar over 600, type 1 diabetic.
Did you guys approach that differently with her though? Because you knew it might be coming. So were you way more aware of signs quicker?
Yeah, we were a lot more aware of symptoms and things
Yeah.
like that, and yeah, you could pick up on things,
Yeah.
and we knew. But at that point, when Sedona was diagnosed, we were already divorced.
Okay. Okay.
So
So yeah.
I found out about Sedona being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as I was on trail on the Pacific Crest Trail hiking for diabetes research and awareness.
Okay. So that brings us
The
back.
irony.
So your company
Yeah.
more than supports you on this hike to bring awareness to juvenile diabetes.
Right.
Your wife at the time, was she a stay-at-home mom?
Oh, right there when I decided to do this hike?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I decided to do it. She was stay-at-home mom. At this
stay-at-home
point,
mom.
we were already sleeping in separate beds and stuff.
Okay, so you were living together, but you were kind of separating?
Yeah.
But she was stay-at-home mom, so you went to do this hike.
Right.
She knew you were going to do it.
Well, yeah, at this point, I had moved out now. I'd already moved out.
Oh, okay.
Divorce was filed.
Oh, before you even go on the hike, you've gotten
Right.
divorced.
Right.
Okay. And originally all 4 kids went with her?
Correct.
And then you decide to do this hike. Did you have shared custody where they would spend
Yeah,
like every other
at that time, we had shared custody, 50-50 custody.
Did
So
she push back
getting,
on you? Okay,
No.
sorry, go ahead.
so I was getting the kids on the every other weekend.
Yeah.
And then if I could get them every weekend, I'd drop whatever and I'd make sure I got them every weekend, right? So I was always trying to get as much time with them as possible. Mom had agreed, now that I look retrospect on the situation, it was a smart move. But Mom had agreed for the boys to go on the hike with me in 2018 up until 2 months before I was ready to take off. And then she pulled the plug because she had final decision making at that time. Arizona has a parental final decision making clause in their custody paperwork. So one parent always has the final say.
That's interesting.
So she pulls the plug on it, and I was pissed. But now that I look back on it retrospect, it was smart. Joey was only 12. Tyler was 11.
Yeah.
And I seen kids doing the hike, but to complete the hike is a different story, right?
Right.
It's a tough trail. It's the hardest in the U.S. for sure.
The Pacific Crest Trail, yeah, because you're going through the Sierras and Mount Whitney and all that. So now that I look at retrospect, it was probably the smartest thing.
Mm-hmm.
How did you prepare for that hike? Had you been hiking
through
your life, like every weekend doing a hike to prepare, or did you just go for it?
I stepped on that trail 270 pounds, drinking half a fifth of whiskey a day, smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes a day.
No way.
If you guys are really interested in hearing the story.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you here for hours, so.
No, that's what we're all about.
I do have a question though, really quick.
Yeah,
I don't want to throw us off, but are you type 2?
Yes.
And had you known that before you hit the trail, or did you find it out later?
I found it out a month before I went on trail, something like that.
Okay,
so what's the story?
A couple months before. So
how did you prepare? Because you said you were basically out of shape.
270, a fifth of whiskey.
So I'm picturing you watched this movie, Wild. Now that you said that title, I've heard of that movie. I haven't watched it, but you watched Wild. You got inspired to do this hike. You're not a hiker, but you decided this looks great.
I've always been in the outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping.
Yeah.
Right. Like you grew up on land, as we've established.
Right.
Your one son has been diagnosed type 1, had been diagnosed as a child. So you're like, why don't I do this for charity, basically, or for awareness, to bring awareness to type 1 juvenile diabetes, but you're not a hiker.
It all came, now that you put it that way, it gets me a little choked up when I think about it. The hike started out was a mission for myself.
Okay.
After I seen the movie,
Mm-hmm.
diabetes wasn't even in the picture, or doing the hike for diabetes wasn't even in
Right, right.
Tyler had already been diagnosed. But I got so enthralled with that trail, I knew I had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I was going to do the trail. How, where, what, when, I had no clue, but I knew I was going to do this trail.
Yeah.
We went through the divorce. We got divorced, I think, in 2016. So then I was major alcoholic for about 5 years, 3 years before we divorced, and then 2 years after we divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I was a functioning alcoholic. I could drink a fifth of Evan Williams whiskey and wake up the next morning, go to work completely fine, not hungover, nothing. Never went to work drunk, didn't drink until after work. Did that for 5 years. And I met a guy named Gates Dixon. And he was kind of a goofy guy. He was taking care of his elderly mom. Told him about this crazy hike that I wanted to do. And he got enthralled with it as well. So, and we were both living in apartments at the time. Well, we got this wild hair. We were going to do this hike together, and we went and got a house together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we went and got a house together. We're prepping, getting ready for this hike. I'm excited. I'm working on sponsorships. Well, this guy ends up disappearing and flaking on me one day. Just woke up one morning. He had moved out, took all the gear I got him, and left.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, what the hell? Okay. Found out he went to Colorado or something and got together with an ex-wife or something. I don't know, just flaked out.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this hike by myself, right? Still drinking half a fifth of whiskey a day, smoking a pack and a half of smokes a day. I'm 270 pounds, wear a 549-inch waist pant, And my fat dumbass thinks he's going to get out there and hike this hike, right? I step on trail. I've got pictures with a 80-pound pack, overweight, and I'm going to do this hike. Alcoholic for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I stepped on the Pacific Crest Trail with a carton of cigarettes in my pack and 2/5 of Evan Williams whiskey, bourbon whiskey. Fucking idiot. I made it 4 days the first day, or 4 miles the first day, and had to set up tent in the dark that first day. It took me a whole day to make 4 miles.
I'm dying because I've looked into hiking the Appalachian Trail, the AT, right?
Yeah.
Everyone talks about ultra light. No one's bringing up 2/5 of booze and a carton of cigarettes.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to get down to like 20 pounds. You roll in with 80 pounds.
oh,
Yeah.
and I got so much shit from other hikers on trail about the size of my pack. It was a 90-liter pack. These guys are all humping 40-liter packs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a creature of comfort. And I, military background. I was an infantry dragon gunner. I was a grunt. Packing out deer out of ravines and shit like that. 120 pounds of deer meat and stuff. So I was just like, no biggie.
Yeah.
I lost 65 pounds within the first 2 months of being on trail.
Wow.
I haven't drank a drop of whiskey since. Don't smoke. That trail, the hair on my arms stand up. That trail will fix any fucking buddy's problems that they have if they give it a chance. Mm-hmm. I was a oblivious, drunk, overweight, alcoholic, smoking, and 2 to 3 months in on that trail, I didn't even have an inkling of a thought of any of it.
That's amazing.
I drank the first fifth on trail. The second fifth, I ended up dumping out and carrying the empty bottle out to trash. Quit smoking the cigarettes, and I lost 70 pounds on trail.
Absolutely amazing.
And that was in 2018. Awesome. Now I'm 200 pounds. I've gained 15 pounds because I've got to carb up before I get on trail. Mm-hmm. So I'll burn 20 pounds in the first month. first 3 weeks. So I'm on a calorie intake right now, trying to get to about 215. When I got off the trail in 2018, it went from 265 to 190.
Amazing.
185. So, and then I came back, fought for my kids, and went through that whole process, right?
Well, so you quit both alcohol and cigarettes on trail on your own.
Correct.
You're hiking this trail on your own, which is challenging enough for anyone.
It's a solo hike.
Solo hike.
I was
Yeah,
going to ask you,
solo
you
hike.
went solo
And then quit out. You've been drinking for 5 years and
half a
smoking.
fifth of whiskey every day, 7 days a week.
Did you go through physical withdrawals on trail?
No, or if I did, I didn't know it because I was so focused on the hike and miles and getting from point A to point B and miles, make sure I got my water. And it takes about 3 or 4 months on trail, but what happens is you go through a separation point where you kind of separate from reality in a sense, from civilization. I know that sounds weird, but the only things your mind starts to focus on: food, water, where am I going to sleep? Food, water, where am I going to sleep? Food, water, where am I? On top of, oh, wow, look at that beautiful mountain. Look at that gorgeous tree. Wow, I want to go down there. So 3 or 4 months in, that's all I thought about. So I probably did go through some withdrawals, but didn't realize it. And I sweat out so all the toxins, all the nicotine, all the alcohol. Then first 30, 60 days, you're sweating out all these toxins. And, the first day I did 4 miles. The second day I did 5, The next day I took a 0 day. 0 day after 9 miles, you weak bitch. Then I got back on and kept on, and eventually I got to where I was pulling 20, 25 miles a day. Didn't have to take 0 days as much. But I was enjoying the hike itself so much that I didn't realize that I was going through that transformation.
Yeah.
Until I would get off trail and I would go to resupply. Like, for example, the first 700 miles, it's all desert hiking. So when I got to Kennedy Meadows, I'd lost a ton of weight, wasn't drinking, wasn't smoking. And that's when I first had that inkling, when I got into a place where I could see myself in a mirror. And I was like, wow, holy shit.
Yeah.
Did you recognize yourself?
I did, except for all the hair and the beard. Usually I'm clean cut, and I don't even have this for a beard. Usually it's a goatee, and I'm in a suit and tie and doing my thing. So it was definitely an experience, but
life changing, absolutely life changing.
Every person I say, and anybody that struggles with drugs or alcohol, in my opinion, you will never find better rehab than being thrown out in the middle of the wilderness with no option or way to resupply on your booze or cigarettes for 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. You get through the withdrawals, you get through the whatevers, you know what I mean? I would suggest it to anybody. I've thought about it. I would love to take a bunch of alcoholics, drug addicts, and make them hike the PCT for 6 months. I'm telling you, your body does some weird shit transformative wise. I'm sure there was toxins and stuff that were just coming out of my body that I had no idea of,
It was a healing journey, literally.
Which brings me it kind of brings it full circle back to why I started this nonprofit organization, Hiking for Hope. And what I expect this charity to do over the next 15, 20 years.
So to go back, so on this first time you hiked the Pacific Coast Trail, what was one of the most memorable days on hike for you?
Crabtree Meadows. Now, keep in mind, you're talking to somebody that, he spent a lot of my life out in the wilderness, but not doing anything to this extreme. Hiking Mount Whitney, summiting 14,500 feet, highest peak in the lower 48 states, and doing it in one day, up and back in 6.5 hours, was probably one of the, you feel like you accomplished something. You know what I mean?
I bet.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then going through just the Sierras, you summit 9 passes through the Sierras.
Wow.
Did you start in San Diego?
Yeah,
or in Southern California?
Southern California at Campo, just outside of San Diego.
Yeah,
at the Mexican border.
What do you do for water on that stretch of it?
You pack it.
You pack it. Okay. Yeah, because there's no natural flowing water that you can purify to drink, right? It's all probably pretty damn dry out there.
There are water supply points, and that's where you have to know where they're at. A lot of strategic planning on these maps here behind me.
Yep.
I go through and I can highlight where all the water resupply points are, or where they should be, depending on the time of season. The longest stretch of no water is typically going through Death Valley, going through that lower desert portion.
Yeah.
The longest stretch, I think, is 58 miles with no water, so I got to pack that through.
Maybe a more pointed question, but you started, I think, I don't know if I'd say it's the harder part, but there's no water. It's dry. It's hot as hell. You're 270. You're giving up the booze. You're giving up the nicotine. Did you get I don't know, in the first 10 days or 14 days, were you like, what the hell am I doing? And did you want to bail, or were you in it? And did it carry you through that?
Carried me through it. And I'll be honest with you, bailing never entered my mind. And here's why. For me, anyway. I'm a very visual person in a lot of stuff that I do. And the unknown, what's around the bend? What am I going to see next? I had deer coming up to me 3 feet from me, sniffing me. Bear that would stop and check me out. What am I doing coming through their area? And the bobcats and stuff that were following me, and all those things. I was always excited for the next day. What am I going to see tomorrow? What am I going to see today? What am I going to, deal with today? So I never had that feeling of bailing. Yeah. And that feeling of representing other people.
Right. That's true, because you were sponsored. So it's not like you were just going out on your own. You were carrying in some ways carrying some burden in
yeah, I think I had it
with you.
That hike, I probably had, I think, less than 10 sponsors, but I had a couple of decent sponsors. Work was one of them,
Yeah.
And so I had some people, but you guys got to remember, this was before social media blew up, before TikTok, Instagram, all that.
Yeah.
So I had one platform, Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so you said your initial inspiration was the movie and for yourself. When did you decide to make this like a chair to bring awareness to diabetes? When did you make that decision?
Probably in 2017, when I knew I was going to do this hike. But I knew I wanted to do it for something. I wanted it to have a meaning behind it, not just I went on a long hike. You know what I mean? I told myself, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it for a cause, for a reason. It's not just about me, was my thought process. So, had a newly diagnosed type 1 diabetic, kid.
Yeah.
Thought, why not?
Yeah.
I'll do it for JDRF. Something that, and I was just starting to learn about diabetes. And at that time, we were going to the Children's Hospital in Phoenix Children's Hospital is where we were going every week. And they were going through the classes and learning about diabetes and all that stuff. So it just happened. It seemed like the natural fit at the time.
So you go and you do this hike for 6 months, this life-changing healing journey, this transformation in every way, probably physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I imagine it covered every level of your life, just the whole transformation. You get back home and realize shit's at the fan with the kids. You need to get in there. You need to get the kids out of that situation. Um, was there pushback from your ex-wife in taking 3 of the kids?
Yeah. She tried to. So what happened was, while I was on trail,
Yeah.
in July of that year is when Sedona, my daughter, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. In fact, I got the call on trail, happened to have service that day, was getting ready to summit a mountain, and she calls me, says, yeah, I'm in the hospital. I just got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
My gosh.
As I'm hiking for type 1 diabetes.
Right. Wow.
So, that hit me a little bit. I had to take off the pack and,
Yeah.
console her and talk to her about it, to Sedona and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I came, so while I was on trail, I didn't know it, but Mom had been going for full custody, told the courts that I had abandoned the kids and disappeared, concocted this big story to present to the courts. Well, lo and behold, did she know? And that's where she was hiding the phone in the the storage and all that stuff, so they didn't have a phone. The boys were going out when they get home from school, and they would get the phone and plug it in, and they'd call me. And I didn't even know at that point all the stuff that was going on. I just thought the boys were calling me, right? Hey, Dad, we're home,
Yeah.
So this whole time, we were talking the whole time. So when I came back, A3, I found out the court had sent me a notice or something, like a 60-day or 30-day notice or something. So they were getting ready to grant her full 100% final decision-making custody.
Wow.
I got a letter that day, day 3. The streets still smelled like piss to me because I'd been in the wilderness for so long, right?
Yeah.
So I get this letter at my office at work, of all places. I think maybe I have my mail forwarded there or something. But so I get this letter, and I've got court the next day, 8:30 in the morning, and this is their second time trying to subpoena me to court. The first time I was still on trail. So I show up to court, and at this point I go in with 3 lawyers and a lawyer for each kid and myself. And I walked out with custody of the boys first. But during that time, when I was on trail and the boys were with Mom, they were taking pictures of the living conditions that they were. And that's ultimately, the judge was like, yeah, Mom, she's gotten better now from my understanding, but she really got into this hoarding thing. You've seen that show, Hoarders?
Yep.
And that's what it turned into. So
Okay.
I got him out of that situation. And then eventually, when I got full custody of the boys with final decision making, we came to Oregon. And then my daughter, Sedona, called me 6 months later saying she wanted to come. So I brought her up here for a visit. And then she said, I'm not going back. So I had to start the court battle all over again for her. Won that. And then Jessica, my youngest, who just turned 14, I wasn't going to try to pull, because I didn't want to force a kid away from a parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always left it up to them. When you're ready, you come and talk to me. We'll talk. If I'm sure you're ready, then we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Jessica never found that spot because I think their mother realized she lost 3. She has a relationship with them, but they don't talk. They're not close. They don't.
Right.
So she realized Jessica, the one who's 14 now, is her last hope to,
Right.
So and
Right.
I'm close with all of my kids. So to me, I'm
So
like, as long as she's in good hands, she's healthy, she's being taken care of, I'm
yeah.
fine with it, you know.
Mhm.
So you basically were a single dad then, raising these kids. Because how old were the boys? Were what, 12? They were young.
11. I got Joey when he was 10, or excuse me, 11, and Tyler was 10.
And so through their middle school or junior high years, their high school years, you were, so how long did the battle go on where you were having to sleep against the door and make sure they stayed in?
That was when I first got back from the hike.
And then eventually, did that all even out?
Yeah, that went on for about, I think it was 4 months. They had people coming in for 4 months.
And then you guys were good?
Yeah, and then it kind of leveled out. And then I had to go through and convince the courts to let me relocate the kids from Arizona to Oregon, away from the mother, even though I had full custody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Again, good Lord, looking down, whichever, the boys had an assigned probation officer because the state had put them on probation. They were going through all that stuff while I was gone.
Yeah.
Funniest shit I've seen. So I go to meet this probation officer for the first time as I get off. You know, I get back from the trail day 3 or day 4. So I'm sitting at the DHS office waiting for this guy to come in. And this black guy walks in, and I'm not exaggerating whatsoever. Like he just walked in off of the boogie train. What was that dance show in the 70s?
Yeah, night train or
Night Train, whatever.
What?
was it night
I
train?
can't remember. It was like American Bandstand, but it was
Yeah, where they danced around the music and shit.
Yeah. For soul music and black people.
Soul Train.
Soul Train. So this guy, and he is the coolest dude ever, I swear to God. He walks in the door with the whole complete pimp outfit, hat and all. Like a pimp from the 70s just came in off the sidewalk in New York. I am not joking you. So I was like, all right, this guy, and he's like in his mid to late 60s. Funny as shit. So the guy comes in, and we get to talking. He's interviewed the mom and already and stuff. And he's like, I'm going to get you to Oregon with those kids. This is a probation officer for juvenile court, right? He's all, I'm going to give you a 30-day approval letter to go up to Oregon to visit family. Every 25 days, I'm going to send you a new 30-day letter.
Wow.
Until they, what was it? Oh, until they are completely out of state custody.
Okay.
Because they were still ward of the court and all that stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. And I was a little like, is this really happening right now? So we
Very creative.
So we go into court in Phoenix the last day, the day we're getting ready to leave to Oregon. And the guy's name is Rolf. And Rolf is in there. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? You know, and that pimp outfit, worked court all the time, everything. The big round pimp purple hat and everything.
It's awesome.
Right? I was just like, what the heck? Yeah. And so he shows up at court that day and he tells the honor, they haven't been able to see family in years because of the mother. So I want to give him permission to go up to Oregon, and I give him a 30-day notice. And the courts were like, just monitor it, make sure everything's good. So sure as shit, every 25 days, he'd send me a new email, another 30 days, until the courts released the kids into my custody full time and got them out of state custody.
That's a very creative way for him to do that.
We were his last case before he retired.
Wow.
And
he saw something in you.
Yeah. He knew those kids needed to go with you.
Yeah.
I was shocked the whole time going, I can't believe this is really happening from a state official. Awesome.
Okay, so now you've done your hike. Are you still working for the fire and safety, American Fire and Safety?
Yes, I'm working for American Fire Equipment this entire time.
And you have 3 kids. You've done your hike, and now you have 3 kids you're raising.
Right. And we moved to Oregon.
Okay. Did you continue to hike during that time? Okay. So you're just raising the kids and
He
working.
wasn't a hiker. He just got on the trail for the hell of
He
it.
transformed his life.
Yeah.
Okay, but now
You know, we've done small, like 3 or 4 or 5 day hikes since then, but nothing that extreme.
like that,
Right.
like
Yeah.
that. But you've got 3 kids now you're raising. So
Yeah.
then,
So we do a lot of hiking and camping now, like small hikes,
Right.
maybe 5-10 miles in type thing, you know.
right. But like you said before, you focused on the kids and work
Right.
during this time.
Right.
That was your focus, is getting these
My
kids through
focus,
school.
focus,
Yeah. And then, so where did Hiking for Hope come from? When did that enter the picture?
Well, so I was with American Fire Equipment for 8 years
Mm-hmm.
and made it through 3 buyouts. They sold out to different companies 3 times in that 10 years. Now, remember, I started at Hiller as a bill collector.
Mm-hmm.
That was my job, sit there and just collect on these old invoices. By the time I left Hiller, I was managing a $150 million rolling receivable, 36 offices in the United States and 3 offshore offices in Dubai.
Wow.
So in 2014, and I worked remote for 10 years from home, which gave me the opportunity to raise these kids.
Yeah.
Keep them out of trouble, get them back on track. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I didn't have to go and leave anybody at home, or they didn't have to come home like we did as latchkey kids.
Right. No, it's ideal situation, honestly.
And it was. And I moved us out in Oregon. When we came to Oregon, we moved up on the middle of 10 acres out in the middle of nowhere.
So kind of how you grew up.
5 miles for them to get to the nearest store.
Back in Springfield?
Yeah. Well, not in Springfield, in Oak Ridge, outside of Springfield.
Mm-hmm. Did you do the whole livestock thing like you did when you were growing up? Did you have that on your property with your kids?
No, I didn't have time for the livestock. Up there's a herd of like 80 elk that would come through our yard every day.
Oh, cool.
So I just sat out on my back patio and I'd watch the elk come through, and every morning like clockwork. And it was just really kind of getting everybody centered back to center mass. You know what I mean? Get the boys into a routine, get myself into a routine, get out of the hustle and the bustle.
Those are worlds apart, right? Phoenix area compared to Springfield. You're in nature. You're going from concrete jungle, sand, hot weather.
4 million people to
to magic.
How did they acclimate? Did they was it a hard transition for them?
To this day, they said they'll never leave Oregon.
Wonderful.
They'll never.
Wonderful.
They can't stand Arizona.
They're happy.
Yeah, because they were all born and raised young in Arizona, and when they came out to Oregon for the first time, they were like in awe, just complete. The mountains, the trees, everybody having yards instead of gravel in their front yard.
Yeah,
there's grass.
Yeah,
real grass.
They're hooked. They'll never leave. They love it here.
Now, have you taken them hunting, fishing, all the things you did as a kid?
Oh yeah,
That's wonderful.
Our garage is just full of camping gear, fishing gear, hunting gear.
You've come full circle.
Yeah, now that you bring it up, because I've never thought about it that deeply, but yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
right?
That's a beautiful thing. So you said you worked for American Fire and Safety. You said 8 years.
Yeah, well, for 8 years, and then they sold out to a company called Johnson Materials or something like that. It's another fire safety company who came in and they bought American Fire equipment. Or actually, I take that back. American Fire sold out to a company called Hiller. Hiller bought, operated, and owned the company for 2 years, and then they bought it, or they sold again, and then they sold a third time to Johnson in 2022, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So from 2016
Mm-hmm.
or 2020 or 2015 up until that point or this point, company had changed ownership 3 times.
And you survived all those 3.
Survived all 3 of those cuts.
Yeah.
In February, the new company, Johnson, who bought out Hiller and kept the name,
Yeah.
Finally came in and cut all the executive managers from the CEO, CFO, COO down to myself.
When was that?
That was in February of 2024.
So recent.
So the day that they laid me off or gave me my walking papers,
Yeah.
and cashed out all my retirement and all that stuff, I took my retirement and I invested it into Hiking for Hope and said, I'm going to open a nonprofit organization and I'm going to spend the rest of my life hiking all over the planet.
To bring awareness for diabetes?
And other charities. So this one is for diabetes research and mental health awareness.
Okay.
I'm planning a 16,000-mile hike that circumferences the U.S. in 2029 for breast cancer and spousal abuse awareness.
Okay.
And we're kicking around adding a 3rd one on that, so it'll be broken up into 3 sections for each, one for each. And just different charities in general.
So when does this first one start?
So it's already started.
Okay.
I stepped foot on the Pacific Crest Trail for my 2nd through hike of the PCT on March 1st with my 2 sons.
This year?
Yes.
And they went with you?
And they went with me.
That's awesome.
So from March till you must have just gotten off recently then?
Ha! I told you there was a lot more to this story. So we stepped foot March 1st, Campo, at the southern terminus of the Pacific Crest Trail, heading northbound at 4:30 in the afternoon. All excited. Everybody's got the gear. I spent 18 months promoting and sponsoring this hike. Brought in over 20 national and global sponsors. Some of our sponsors include Columbia Sportswear, GoPro, Rec Pack, Osprey Bags, Packs, Big Agnes, Dexcom. So we got a ton of sponsors, and we're right in the middle of our 2025 sponsorship campaign right now until I leave. So we're bringing on more sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Bass Pro Shops and yeah, just a ton of them.
You have all the names.
So we step on trail March 1st, and I leave my vehicle at a buddy's house who lives in El Cajon, California, in Southern Cal.
Mm-hmm.
He gets us to the terminus, and we head out. First day, we hike for 6 miles in the dark. We set up camp. Great, we're on the PCT, I'm excited for the boys because I get to show them all the cool shit that I seen last time, and they're pumped and excited. And we're heading to Hauser Creek. It's mile 20, first spot. Hauser Creek is what you want to get to. So some people do it in the first day. We get there the second day, we get to the bottom of Hauser Creek. Totally just get slammed on by rain, right? Part of the course, whichever. Our tents get flooded out. So we have to dry out our pack and some of our gear, get our rain gear on, get everything, covered up. Day 2, we get heading northbound on the trail. Everything's going fine. Our first weekend, we're getting close to Julian, Southern Cal, or the first couple of weeks. So we get to Julian, and a winter storm hits and drops about a foot of snow.
Oh, man.
In the first 2 nights that we're there. Because we get to Julian so that we can resupply, right? We do more food and pick up a resupply box and stuff like that. So we had already gone through a couple of small little towns that we did some stopovers and helped the community with some community cleanup stuff.
Mm.
So we go to Julian, and we're there for like 3 days getting hit by this snowstorm. And we're at the VFW hall in Julian, camped. Our tents are pitched underneath this eave on a deck that they have. And so at least we're getting some good food out of the restaurant, there, and waiting for the snow to stop. And it starts to warm up. The snow starts to let up. We're getting some rain, so that's helping melt some of the snow so we get back on trail. We're leaving Julian, headed to Idlewild. And we get about 8 miles from Idlewild, so halfway in between. Where it's more than halfway, but we're 8 miles from getting to Idlewild. Beautiful day out, sun's gorgeous out. I'm about 1.5 miles, 2 miles ahead of the boys, right? So I stopped to have lunch, wait for them to catch up, do some recording. Loving the fact all these new social media platforms I can go on and share the hike.
Yeah.
And so I do a bit, eat lunch. I'm like, God, where are these guys at? So I text them, where are you guys at? I'm fucking 8. I'm ready to leave. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they had stopped about 1.5 miles too behind me. And so they stopped and ate lunch. So I'm like, okay, I'll take some time to catch up with them. Okay, so I look at the maps, look at the weather maps, everything's good. It's going to be a gorgeous rest of the day. So the boys catch up with me. We start hiking, 1.5 miles in, 8 miles from Idlewild, and all of a sudden we start seeing a little bit of mist coming through the mountains, right? I'm like, oh, maybe we're up in the clouds, guys. This is cool. We're like 9,000 feet up in altitude.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this storm comes through. And I'm not talking about just a little drizzle outside storm. 80-mile-an-hour wind.
Oh my gosh.
Sleet sideways.
Ugh.
Literally sideways.
Yeah.
I should say 80-mile-an-hour gust winds. Sustainable at 60 to 70.
Crazy.
Enough to hurt.
Yeah.
Enough to hurt. That shit hurt. That freezing rain hitting you.
Yeah, that sounds painful.
And we're in a spot, we're right where there's no coverage, right? So I'm going, okay, let's go further up trail and try to see if we can find coverage. So we start heading up the trail. Tyler's literally getting blown over on the ground. Now, he's 5'5", 135 pounds with a 60-pound pack. So he's getting blown over. So I'm like, okay, this shit's getting crazy, right?
Yeah.
We'll pitch a tent. Everybody gets inside the tent. We'll wait out the storm. Great idea. So we find a big tree. There's a video of it actually on our TikTok and our social media. So there's a picture of Tyler, a video. You see him and he's got a face mask on and stuff. And then he starts, and you see me walking through the storm, right? And it's just, so we grab somebody's tent. I can't remember who it is. We try to pitch this tent. The storm's so bad, we can't get the tent pitched. We can't get it open. We can't get it staked down. And it rips it breaks the buckles on the tent cover. So we lose the cover to the tent.
Oh.
And the wind's just picking up harder and it's getting harder and worse. So I'm like, fuck, what do we do? So you know what a footprint is, right? To your tent?
No, I don't.
Okay, a footprint is a piece of tent material that lays on the ground that you put your tent on to keep water. It's like a barrier.
Kind of like a tarp?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, now the shit's getting cold. It's getting really cold. So the tent blew off. I'm not going to drag out another tent and fight that shit. So I grab the footprint and we all three get under it and we pull this footprint over us to get out of the rain, the sleet, and the snow, right?
Yeah.
And by this, now it's dark.
Oh, jeez.
And we're holding this thing over us, sitting on our knees, really only enough room for 2 people, but I got my ass under that thing. And we lighted jet boil in there for heat.
What's a jet boil?
The thing I have.
Oh, okay.
Stove.
Okay.
So I'm like, we're drenched at this point. We didn't even have a chance to put on rain gear. I mean, this storm came in out of nowhere. 30 seconds, we're in the middle of this fucking.
At 9,000 feet.
At 9,000 feet out, like 8,800 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, okay, everybody, sit on the edge of the footprint to keep it down, or it's just going to blow up on, right? So we get situated, got the jet boil lit, we're soaking wet. So we're starting to dry off now, the front of us from this jet boil. So I'm like, okay, we run out of fuel.
Oh, man.
In the jet boil. So I'm like, okay, so now the boys they're shaking, like literally. And I'm like, it's fucking getting cold. They're wet. I'm wet. I'm starting to get the shakes. Last thing we need is hypothermia to set in.
Yeah.
So luckily we have no phone service, but with the new iPhones, you have satellite. We were able to pick up a satellite signal and call 911, and SARS came in and plucked us out.
Wow.
Oh, shit. Wow.
So search and rescue, they can't fly in. There's no way.
Yeah, it's too windy.
The storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.5 hours they hike up in this storm to find us.
Amazing.
They find us, put this big heat tent thing over us and all this shit, right? And then they hike out with our packs. We tried to get them to let us hike our packs out. We didn't want to be bitches on camera. We were joking about it, and they're like, "Yeah, sorry." And they hiked out with their own pack, so they had a pack on the back, a pack on the front. So we hiked out. They hiked us out. So we get to the bottom. Sheriff's department's down there, ambulance, all that stuff. Check us out. Boys have light or beginning signs of frostbite on their toes. Joey's got some frostbite setting in on his ring finger. And they're like, yeah, you guys are going into hypothermia. You're lucky they found you when you did, because we would have been pulling out bodies in the morning.
Wow. That was so smart to call 911.
Well, at first I was just thinking we'll just sit here and wait it out, right? And I thought we were going to be able to until we lost the fuel in the canister.
Yeah.
We burned.
And probably if you were solo hiking, you might have even waited it out, but you had your boys with you. So
we were talking about that last night, me and the boys. I was like, I would have probably waited it out.
Yeah.
I would have, because I would have found a spot somewhere to pitch that tent,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I would have just hiked out. But what freaked me out is when I seen Tyler get blown over.
Yeah.
On the left of us, we've got a mountain with a break. On the right of us, it's cliffs.
Yeah.
I can't have him get blown over on,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then when we ran out of the fuel in the canisters, when I decided, yeah, we got to call SARS and get somebody up here. So they come and pluck us out, hike us down. We get cleared by the ambulance. We get into Idlewild at like 4 a.m. Sheriff gets us a hotel, finds a hotel that will open up a room for us and stuff, and we get in, right? So then I'm worried about the boys, because their toes are they're not black yet, but they're getting that yellow. They're real sensitive. They couldn't shower. The hot water was hurting and burning feet. Joey's lost feeling in his finger. And keep in mind, Tyler's a type 1 diabetic.
Right. Right.
Believe it or not, his insulin did not freeze through this whole time.
That's amazing. I was about to ask you that.
I know. We were tripping. I'm like, how did maybe insulin doesn't freeze? I don't know.
Thank God.
Right? So
yeah,
never had any diabetes issues. His pump worked the whole time, and
thank God.
So we get into Idlewild. The next day, we go get breakfast. Still waiting for stuff to dry out. They're still dealing with the finger thing and the toes. So we decide, I'm like, all right, we're going to send you back home. I'm going to send you back home, get that stuff taken care of. Tyler needs to go to his endo appointment. let her know what happened, make sure she's all good to go, and we'll meet up in Big Bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is about, so at this point we're 160 miles in. Big Bear is 270 miles. So I've got about a little over 100 miles to go solo.
Mm-hmm.
Does the trail take you over the peak of Big Bear, or does it go around the base?
Oh, Big Bear?
Yeah.
It goes around the base.
Okay.
It kind of goes halfway up and around.
Yeah, okay.
With Jacinto, it goes around the base, or you can do an 8-mile hike to the summit.
Okay.
So we're in Idlewild, Jacinto, and so I send them home. It sucked. That was one of the hardest things to do. But
they probably didn't want to go either, right?
They did, but they didn't. But
yeah,
you know, they were like, shit. And then a month out on trail for them is a long time.
Yeah.
True.
That's a shaking experience too, to be caught in the woods like that and have to get rescued.
Yeah, that freaked them out.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Even at 20 and 21, they were pretty. And it was Joey, my oldest, his 21st birthday. March 17th. March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. We get plucked out by search and rescue. So I told him, I said, you'll forever remember your 21st birthday.
Yeah,
definitely.
So we get to Idlewild, so I send them home.
Mm-hmm.
And they come home to take care of their stuff. They had a fun little trip back. They got to take the trains and the buses, and people are asking about them because they have their packs and all this gear, you know. And
yeah.
they had a church group that bought them dinner, and you know, they just had a fun time getting back home.
They have some clout.
Yeah, exactly. As my ass is out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Here's where shit gets real. This comes back to your question. So we got onto the trail March 1st. All this has happened in the first 3 weeks. Hit by 2 major storms. One we got plucked out of, the other one in Julian. A lot of rain, a lot of bitching and pissed off because the weather sucked so bad. Because in 2018, I had 2 days of rain in 6 months.
I was going to say, it doesn't rain a whole lot. There's not a lot of precipitation in Southern California.
Right?
Yeah.
But we had left 3 weeks earlier this time than I did last time.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're cruising, getting wet, a lot of shit. Me and my oldest son, him and I are like two peas in a pod. So we're a lot alike. So sometimes we clash, right? So I'm getting pissed off because he's out hiking me. I'm like, slow your ass down. Where are you going? You don't know what you're doing. And he's like, screw you. And I'm just like, fuck you. And then we meet up 3 hours later. 5-5. Good job.
Trail drama.
Oh, big time. And then my younger son, Tyler, who's 20, he's the total opposite. He's a very laid back, no drama, you know, just want to do my thing.
Compliant.
Yeah, me and Joey, we're always the loud one, can you tell? So I send them back, and I stay another night in Idlewild at a campground, and I decide I'm going to go hit Jacinto, and then continue on up to Big Bear. Now, granted, in 2018, I was unable to hike or summit Jacinto. I didn't have my snow gear with me that year either. What else happened? Oh, and I had torn well, what the hell do they call it? A hiker band in my knee. So in 2018. So I'm like, I'm going to do Jacinto this time, right? Pissed off because the boys aren't with me, but that's okay. So I get back on trail. I'm heading to Jacinto, and I'm like, yeah, I get to fucking finally summit this thing. Then I start heading to the summit, getting into some snow. Nothing too bad. I can handle it. Snow starts to get a little deeper, starting to warm up, so that crust on the top layer of the ice is melting.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to post hole. Next thing I know, I'm like 3.5 miles from the summit, and I'm post holing up to my crotch.
My goodness.
Every step. between my knee and my crotch. So I'm post holing like 3 feet, 3.5 feet every step. Well, when you're post holing like that, what you're doing is you're compacting that ice on the bottom of that step, right?
Yeah.
During the afternoon when it's melting and it's cold, it's warmer. So now it's starting to get a little slick. So I decide, okay, all of my snow gear, my crampons, my ice axe, my micro spikes are all in my resupply box for the Sierra. So as much as I wanted to summit, I'm like pissed off. I'm thinking this is the second time I haven't been able to get to the summit of this mountain, but I'm seeing hikers come down in full winter gear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm going up there in fucking looking like I'm walking, summer gear. So I'm like, okay, I got to turn around. So I turn around, start coming down the mountain. I'm fine. It's a little slippery. I'm sliding, using my trekking pole. And I hit this one spot and I just slip right onto my back. So now I'm on my back, on my pack, like a damn turtle with my legs and arms up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at a real steep incline. So I'm hitting this dim. So I'm sliding down basically 200 feet down this mountain and I can't get over.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't get myself over. The pack won't let me get myself over onto my stomach, right? The bottles, water bottles on the sideways and stuff for keeping me from flipping over.
And you're sliding the whole time?
Sliding on my back. And I don't have an ice axe to slow my speed.
Yeah.
So the only thing I've got are my trekking poles, which now I wish I wouldn't have used, but.
Or a tree.
Well, yeah. Well, what happened was that's where the trekking poles came into play because I'm sliding. And the problem is I'm trying to dig my feet in, but I'm up on this pack, just to give you an idea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
70-pound pack full of gear.
Yeah.
When it's on, it exceeds my head.
Yeah.
So I'm riding down the back of not this pack, but a pipe, pack just like it. Sliding down, and I'm coming right at this big ass boulder that's like the size of my living room.
Oh my goodness.
So the only thing I could think of, because I didn't want to hit that freaking boulder, right? And the part that I'm sliding on, it kind of goes around the rock.
Yeah.
So I grab my trekking poles and I try to block myself from hitting the rock. Well, I put up the trekking pole, it blocks my face, but I bust my teeth out on the trekking pole.
Oh no.
So it busts out. One of my front teeth gets busted out lengthwise, so I have a tooth.
Oh.
The other tooth gets busted out at the gum line, and I break out 8 teeth.
Oh my God.
But at the same time, that hitting that rock slowed me down enough to where I was able to take the trekking poles and dig them into the snow.
Yeah.
I knew what to do. Just fucking dig these things down in the snow as hard as I can. Now that I look back on it, I wish I would have done that because it tore both my rotator cuffs.
Oh.
So the weight, 65-pound bag, me being 200 pounds at this time. So 265 pounds sliding, and I use these trekking poles, they stop my arms and everything else keeps going.
Oh my goodness.
In fact, my right one's still torn. So, but it flipped me over on my stomach and I stopped. I was just like, holy shit, what the hell just happened?
I assume you're bleeding. Yeah.
Yeah, there's blood in the snow.
Because the mouth bleeds a lot.
So I sit there for a minute and I start cleaning myself up with the snow.
Yeah.
Luckily, this is the weird shit. So I was sore in Idlewild, so I was eating my vitamin I, my ibuprofen. On trail, everybody calls it vitamin I because you eat it like Skittles, right? So I was eating ibuprofen and extra strength Tylenol like Skittles. And then with the frozen snow, and I was cleaning my face up and my busted up lips and crap, it numbed my mouth. So everything was numb. So there wasn't a whole lot of pain. It was just, it looked worse.
Right.
Than what it felt, right?
Right.
So, and my legs are just charred up. That snow on raw skin is like glass, I'm telling you.
Mm.
There's pictures in my TikTok. My legs are just freaking trash. I tried to post one of my face, but TikTok keeps taking it down.
Yeah, they're temperamental.
So I get to the base, so I hike out down San Jacinto, down. And if you've ever been to San Jacinto, there's a big parking lot and there's a park area, picnic area, and all that stuff. So I hike out, I come off the trail, and I come into that area. Not a soul in sight, right? Nobody around. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to hike 15 miles to the I-10 corridor where the PCT comes across the freeway or goes under the freeway to get to the Whitewater Preserves. That's my plan. So I start road hiking to get down from the San Jacinto recreation area. One car coming up the road. I'm telling you, God's on my side. You guys have no fucking clue right now. So this couple comes up in this rental car thing, and they see me, and I've got blood, and and I'm hiking. Just want to get away from that mountain. Thankful I didn't break a bone. So they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" Da, da, da. I'm like, "Yeah." I kind of explained to them. They said, "Well, we're here." They were from Florida, and they were just sightseeing, waiting to catch a plane back home. Luck. So.
Yeah.
Were you hitchhiking, or were they just
No,
like, this guy looks like he needs help?
they just stopped. This guy looks like he needs help. I was still, it's like a state park or federal park area. So there's not a road to hit. There's no traffic, no one to hit,
Mhm.
Just a lonely hiker coming out of the woods, bloodied up, hiking down this paved road.
Mhm.
So they come up, they're coming up. So they stop. There's a picture of me with them getting a selfie with them. And so they're like, "Hey, we can give you a ride wherever you want to go. We're going to be going right." And they happen to be going right by where I was going on the I-10.
Wow.
Because they're going to go back to the airport.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you." So they give me a ride, 15 miles to the I-10 corridor, the Pacific Crest Trail. There's a Circle K there and a couple of truck stops, and that's about it. So they get me there. I get cleaned up at the gas station some more, change my shirt, and I'm at I think it's a Circle K or something like that at the I-10, deciding where I'm going to go and how, what I'm going to do next. So I'm like, okay, well, get back on trail, get over to the corridor, and I can decide what I'm going to do there because it's right under the overpass of the 10. So I get there, right? Pitch camp just outside of the overpass in this wash area. So I pitched my tent there for the night. Naturally, because I've got my headlamp on and I'm in my tent and shit. A bunch of people come up and start circling me in their ATVs.
What?
Yeah, and I can hear them. I'm in my tent, so I'm yelling, just a hiker,
Yeah.
And I could hear someone else talking to someone else on another ATV, and they're yelling back at them, "It's a hiker, it's a hiker." And then they took off and disappeared. So they must have thought I was like I don't know, maybe a migrant or something that,
Right,
jumped
right.
border type thing or something.
Right.
Somebody to mess with. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when they realized I was just a hiker, they took off and left me alone. But they screwed with me for 2 hours. I mean, I was
Oh my gosh, that's a long time.
in the dark.
Yeah. After everything you've been through,
Yeah.
too.
So the next morning, I'm in my tent, do my little video for my Dexcom sponsor, and I go to the bridge, right? And this is like the first kind of major stop where hikers will stop. People put food out there for the hikers and resupply stuff, water, and
Yeah.
they have a big spot where you sign your name. And I was number 3 on the trail, third person for the season. So I signed the thing and snag a banana, get some water, chill for a while, and then I leave.
Are you in pain though from your injuries to your mouth?
I'm eating all this ibuprofen and Tylenol, so I'm not.
Okay.
I can't really eat anything. Can't
Yeah.
bite into anything. So I'm really eating like oatmeal and top ramen, stuff that I can kind of easily get down.
Yeah.
And drinking water like a madman. So then the next day, so I stayed under that overpass for 2 days. And then the third day, I finally hiked out, got back on trail, and then I started heading to the Whitewater Preserves. I remembered the Whitewater Preserve from 2018, and I was like, I can camp there for a couple of days. It's like I'm 110 miles from Big Bear. Whitewater Preserve at the ranger station is like, I'm going to stay 48, 50 miles from where I'm at, or something, about halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
So I hike to the ranger station in the Whitewater Preserve, no problem. But fuck, every time I stopped hiking, this heartburn was just kicking my ass. Major heartburn. As long as I was trucking, I was good. So I get to the preserve, set up tent, feeling really lethargic, but just figured, yeah, a lot of shit's gone on the last week,
Yeah.
Kids are not here. So I stay at the Whitewater Preserve for two or 3 days. God, at night I couldn't sleep. This heartburn was just kicking my ass, right? So I'm eating Tums, ibuprofen, extra strength Tylenol like crazy. Every time I try to go back to sleep or go into my tent to lay down, heartburn would just kick my ass. So I'd get back up. I'd walk this thing at 2 in the morning in this ranger park just to keep the heartburn down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So finally leave the Whitewater Preserve Ranger Station, packed up. I'm heading to Big Bear, 70 miles to Big Bear. And so after a couple of days, I just start getting this like weird feeling, like paranoia shit, right? And I'm like, why am I feeling like paranoid and kind of out of it and lost and shit? Well, I don't know. So I make it to Big Bear 5 days later, 70 miles, 5 days. I get to Big Bear. So I already knew my miles were down and I'm already losing mileage. But it's been a crazy first 40 days, right? 35 days.
Yeah.
Nothing but snow, rain, sleet, hypothermia, everything with the boys, them having to go back. So I get back on trail and I start heading to Big Bear. And it takes me 5 days to get to Big Bear. Finally hike into Big Bear. Can't find a place to pitch. Another storm's coming through.
Oh my gosh.
So they don't open up the local parks or camp spots yet. They hold off on opening.
Jeez.
Yeah. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? This shit's pissing me off. So I'm like, I'll go stay in a Motel 6. Well, they had a Motel 6 in Big Bear. That was the only place I could find that could get a place or a room. So I get there naturally. Motel 6 is under a renovation. TVs don't work, none of this. But I'm just, okay, I got a bed, right? But man, this heartburn just, seriously, guys, like, never had heartburn like this before. And I thought it was because I was eating all the top ramen and the oatmeal from my teeth being busted out.
Yeah.
Day 2 in the hotel, paranoia really sets in. I feel like a tweaker or something. I'm just like peeking out the windows. I'm like, I can't get comfortable. I can't lay down. I'm just like, what the hell's going on? So I'm talking to my mom, and she's all, Wes, you need to get into a doctor. You need to go see somebody. You fell. Just make sure everything's good, So I finally agree. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But this is where I know now I was pretty messed up. What do? I hitchhike to Sacramento, jump on a bus, and come back home to Oregon.
So you left the trail?
Left Big Bear, left trail, went to Big Bear, from trail.
Yeah.
Left Big Bear. Instead of going to the hospital in Big Bear,
Yeah.
no real rhyme reason why. Just again, I'm out there. I'm not all there. I go and hitchhike to Sacramento and get on a train back to Oregon. 2 day travel.
And then did you go to the hospital in Oregon?
after I got home 2 days later.
To get from Big Bear to Sacramento, though, that's got to be at least what 700 miles or something. That's SoCal to NoCal.
It was a 42 hour commute. I know that.
Wow.
Jeez. So
You had to take bus and train to get back home.
Yeah.
So it was like 42 hours to get from Sacramento back home on bus and train.
What was going on when you went to the hospital?
So I get home, walk in the front door. All the kids are like, "Dad, you're home. What's up? Hey."
Yeah.
So I lay here for 2 days going, God, this heartburn is just kicking my ass. I live 2 miles from the nearest hospital. So I walked to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Don't ask me why. Got 4 cars in the driveway here.
You're a hiker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
There's something about that. You don't think it,
Yeah.
So I hiked to McKenzie Willamette Hospital. Walk in the ER. I don't know what's wrong, got this severe heartburn, so they check my vitals. Tell me to go sit down. I don't even get my ass in the waiting seat, and they call me back. So I go up to the counter, they're like, no, you need to go in the back. You're having a heart attack right now. You've been having a heart attack for the last 6 to 7 days.
Wow.
You can see it on the scan monitor thing or whatever.
EKG or EKG, probably.
Yeah. So they run me right into the emergency room, stick a stent in my wrist, into my heart. And so I asked the doctor, I said, what kept me from dying out there for the last 6 days?
Yeah.
Hiking, I was only pulling at that point 10 to 15 mile days. And he goes, more than likely, he said, your artery is 97% clogged. More than likely, the extreme hiking was forcing the blood through that artery, which kept me alive.
Wow.
I said, well, what about on the train? He goes, because you were so relaxed, the heart could go into, like it almost tries to preserve itself type of thing.
Almost like a hibernation or something, kind of?
Yeah, the heart rate slowed way down. The heartburn wasn't as bad.
Right. Does that cause paranoia?
That's what I was just thinking.
I didn't know it until after the fact. I started doing research, right?
Yeah.
Sure as shit. Heart attack, common to have people to get PTSD, which I didn't have, but paranoia, schizophrenia type of symptoms and stuff.
Wow.
There's a list of like 8 or 10. I didn't know either.
For you to get into the hotel room and start tweaking and looking out the curtains and shit, thinking, paranoia state, that's probably uncanny for you, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm usually not like that.
Yeah.
And so I knew something wasn't right because I was in that paranoia. I was like, why am I paranoid?
So, and this wasn't related to the fall. This is an issue with your heart that would have happened no matter what was going on. It just happened that you had.
I think it happened because of the fall. And here's why.
You do.
Because when we chronologically went back 7 days, was right at about the time that I was at the I-10 corridor. So it may not have been directly like from the fall, but I think maybe the stress from the fall or something like that may have triggered it.
It triggered
Who
it.
knows? Who knows? I'm not a doctor by any means, but
no, but that could have saved your life in a way because you were 97% blocked. So there's a chance at any time you could have had a heart attack, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So hiking through it maybe saved your life from just having a massive heart attack.
That's what the doctor believes. He said that was the only assumption he could come up with, because he said we can see where you went back. He said it looks between 6 and 7 days you started having a light heart attack, and it got worse when I was in the Whitewater Preserve, when it was like on my knees, heartburn, right?
That's insane.
So, I had those symptoms for 2 weeks after the stent. And then I woke up one morning, 2 weeks after they put the stent in and all that stuff. It was like someone just turned the light on. Everything was normal. That's fine.
So when did that happen? That
March.
I know you started March 1st, and then when did you arrive back in Oregon?
Like around April 7th, I think, the first week of April.
So just a little over a month, you had all these things happen.
40 days.
That's crazy.
And here's why 40 days, 40 nights. Let's think about this for a minute.
Yeah. Yep.
So, from a spiritual standpoint, I've always been a believer, but I was not didn't practice it a lot. I think this was a spiritual awakening for me as well. To hike for 7 days while having a heart attack, being plucked out of the wilderness by search and rescue, and not losing any limb. 40 days and 40 nights of hiking to get to Big Bear, coming back home, going through. So I got so the first month I was here, I was going through the heart issue, getting the teeth pulled out. Told him, I said, just take them all now. Might as well just do it now, right? Take them out. And then, and then my primary PCP physician doing all her stuff in the labs. And I've had every poke and prod you can imagine now. And then I prayed on it for 4 months, daily, all day, every day. Am I supposed to be doing this? God, give me, if this is not what I am meant to be doing, give me a sign. Show me something I've never seen. I never claim to see I've ever seen Jesus or God or have had a spiritual phenomenon or anything like that, And then about 2 months ago, when I was going to give up the hike, maybe 3 months ago, I was ready to give up the whole thing. I'm like, you know what? Just not meant to be. I'll do it some other time, on my own time, whatever. Change my focus. And I was sitting outside, going through my phone in the dark, and happened to look up. And as clear as I'm looking at you guys right now, all I see in the sky is my dad's face, and he's smiling. No movement, not saying nothing, just him smiling, looking down on me. It's clear as freaking day. And I'm just looking like, Dad? What? And then I see the face of Jesus come from behind him. And I just feel this warmth around my body like a blanket. Like a blanket. And I just get a nod, and they disappear. And I find myself in my front yard on my hands and knees, crying and shit. And then the next day, all these doors start opening again. More sponsors. Media management company comes on out of the blue at no charge to help promote all these things. And I'm like, he wants me to read scripture on trail as I record this hike every morning and every night, and promote diabetes research and mental health awareness in between. My job, my mission is to spread his word and represent the people that I'm hiking for and try to make an impact.
It's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful.
So that's where I'm at now. So now it's October, and I'm pushing to get back on trail between February, no later than March 1st, possibly January. So we're working out the logistics on that right now. What I'm watching right now are the weather patterns. I'll get back on trail. I think at Big Bear, I thought about starting fresh from the trailhead again, but I've got 300 miles in. Pick up from Big Bear, I've still got 11,700 miles to go. So not wanting to deal with that issue again that early in the season.
Yeah.
Or carrying all that snow gear. So I'll be getting on, I haven't quite pinpoint the date yet, but somewhere between February and March, I'll be heading back to Big Bear, getting on trail. But I think the other reason why things have come out the way that they did is I didn't complete the work that I was supposed to before we left the first time. Because I left with a lot of things incomplete and left open, in the sense that I've been working to put together a 4-season miniseries documentary of this hike, and finding the producers and the production companies and the people involved to help bring that all together and make happen has been a chore, because we're a new nonprofit. We opened in 2024.
Yeah.
So we really focus on people that are supporting us and volunteering their time and things like that. So now we finally were able to build out our board of directors, all volunteers. We got our attorneys on board now. We've got our media management company that's in play. They've already started. They've been in our social media platforms for the last 48 hours, starting to do their thing. So now I feel like once we can conclude and wrap up finding ourselves a producer and a production house, I can then get back on trail. We're looking at about 80 to 100 terabytes of footage. Someone that's going to be able to edit it, put it all together, and then put it into this 4-season docu-series format.
That's amazing. I'm so excited to watch that.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna be
I
so
love
cool.
that stuff.
Yeah. Well, in fact, when it's ready to go, if you want to come back on to promote it, let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely. And I would ask you guys, check us out and follow.
Yeah, I think we do follow you on
Yeah.
TikTok. I'll make sure we're following you on everything. Yeah,
I saw
on
you in
Instagram.
Eugene not too long ago.
Yeah, but I'll make sure.
You saw me in Eugene?
I thought so. Did
Hiking
you put
probably?
What's that?
Hiking probably?
Maybe. I
No,
thought
he
you
means on social media.
on social
not
media.
In person.
Yeah, not in person, but I thought I saw you on social media in Eugene.
Oh, yeah, probably. Okay, yeah. I've been hiking through the university and stuff on the weekends with a Pat.
Yeah.
Part of my therapy, because when I fell, I had herniated disc, torn rotator cuffs, the teeth that got busted out, and then that heart attack after that. Surprised I'm still
alone, right? That statement alone of the herniated disc, the rotator cuffs, and a heart attack, busted
and the teeth.
Yeah, I know, right? But I'm freaking pumped and excited to get back on trail. So what's going to be interesting is I've talked to a couple of producers. One flaked out. You know, people get interest and then they disappear. But it's how they got to recreate that first 266 miles. In my opinion.
You could drive to the start, maybe, drive to different spots and catch little.
And do you have any footage just from things that you and your sons recorded that during that time?
Yeah, it's all on our TikTok and all that stuff.
Yeah, just use that with narrating what went on. And if you want to use anything from this podcast too, if that helps you, you can have access to it.
Oh, no, you know what? You guys just bringing me on and letting me tell my story and helping me get that word out.
Yeah,
is huge. I'll be honest with you, my goal right now, Buzz Media is like probably going, yeah, right, this guy's smoking crack. Because when I first entered this agreement with them, they want to know how many followers am I trying to gain. And I'm like, well, I'm like a couple million. What are you talking about? And literally, so our affiliate partners include American Diabetes Association. We've got national and worldwide brand partners and sponsors on this project. And we're about to increase the ante with Garmin, North Face, GoPro's already on. We got Columbia. Have you guys seen any of our event shirts?
No,
So I'll send you guys out some. You'll have to send me your address. I'll send you guys out some shirts.
Okay.
This was our last shirt. It doesn't have
wow.
other sponsors on it. There's
cool.
merchandisers adding everybody else on it, but it's
very cool. Very cool.
And then
it looks like you're wearing the shirt then.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
So we got Ultra Footwear. They sponsored us with 70 pairs of shoes. Sawyer came in with all of the water filtration systems. Columbia with the hiking gear. Johnson Outdoor, who also owns Jetboil. So we're pretty excited about the sponsors, and we're just going into our second sponsorship campaign for this hike since I'm here, I'm like, might as well bring on more sponsors and get more.
Yeah. So when you're starting back, it's just this one's the Pacific Coast Trail.
Correct.
That's
Pacific Crest Trail.
Pacific Crest Trail. That's what this one's going to be. And then you said that's for diabetes, mental health, and to spread the word, scripture.
And for mental health awareness.
Mental health awareness. And then you said the next one is going to be breast cancer
and domestic
violence awareness. What hike is that going to be?
That's in 2029.
And will that also be the Pacific Crest Trail, or is that going to be a different?
That's a whole different. That's a 16,000-mile hike that circumferences the U.S.
Okay.
And it's like 4 different trails that match up to each other. So this particular hike that I'm currently doing right now, I'm on the Pacific Crest Trail.
Right.
Once I get to Canada, 2,650 miles, I jump over to Wyoming and hike the Continental Divide down Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Colorado, down to New Mexico. And then I fly out to Georgia from there and hike 14 states on the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine. And then I hike from Maine 3,500 miles of all freeway and concrete hiking back from Maine to Oregon, 3,500 miles.
And that's this one that you're starting like in January, February, March time?
Yeah. So it's a continuous hike, 12,000
Okay.
miles, and it's going to take me 18 to 24 months to complete.
Wow.
So the fact that what I'm clicking into right now is the timeline, because the three trails alone, if I can complete those in 12 months, that's called the Triple Crown. Less than 20 people have done a Triple Crown.
Mm-hmm.
That's 8,000 miles, all 3 trails in a 12-month period. Adding the 3,500 miles onto the tail end of that is going to be another 6 months of pavement pounding back home.
So do you start the Pacific Crest Trail first? Because you have to map out the weather.
Right.
That's your biggest issue, right? Like I know people do the AT. They start, I forget when they start, but they try to time it. So they start in Georgia when the last snowfall happens.
So what I'm going to do, and I'm similar in that sense, but because of the massive miles that I have to hike on this thing, most people can do, like, say, the Appalachian Trail in about 5 months, 5 to 6 months. You got 2 years of hiking. Chances of me completing the whole hike in 18 months are going to be slim. I think it'll be closer to 24 months. Just because I have over 30 off-trail interviews with television stations and radio stations that I have to do. Good Morning America, The Morning Show, and Fox and Friends in New York. So the Appalachian Trail comes about 40 miles from New York City, so I'll have to get off trail there, go do some shows, and then when I finish the Appalachian Trail, I hike back through Jersey and New York, coming back to Oregon, and I'll be doing shows along the way through there. So, and the chances are I'm expecting that will increase as I am on trail.
Right.
I'll be carrying, on the 3,500 miles back from Maine to Oregon, I'll be carrying a American Diabetes Association flag and a Hiking for Hope flag. So people will be able to recognize me, see me on the side of the freeway, all that crap.
Yeah.
But really, it's garnering just to gain as many viewers and followers as I possibly can gain on this initiative and promoting diabetes research and awareness and mental health awareness. Especially, I think right now, our country, we are in a mental health crisis right now, coming out of COVID. We're seeing it on the news on a daily. So this hike first started out just as for diabetes research and awareness. I added mental health to the objective 2 months ago because the amount of mental health issues we're seeing on TV and you know, all the craziness that's just going on in general.
Especially with for young men.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's wonderful that you're addressing that, because it's talked about. I mean, thankfully the younger generations talk about mental health way more openly than Gen X. We weren't even
Every
allowed
day.
in space. Like, that was a bad word, right? You weren't supposed to talk about that.
Right.
But Gen Z, they talk about it as openly as anything, and it's a beautiful thing. But I still think um the aspect when it comes to young men is not given enough attention.
No, I agree with you 100%. And the other thing I noticed too is on trail is I'm not the normal bird that hikes these trails. A lot of these trails are hiked by people that, nature lovers that tend to be more left leaning, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am more of I would consider myself not left or right, but right leaning.
Mm-hmm.
So I have different thoughts than most people on trail, like the leave no trace. I'm a stickler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave no trace. You don't leave shit. You don't know if I've been there or not when I leave a spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 That type of thing. When I set my mind to something, it's just that stubborn, I guess, military type of way of thinking. I'm going to do it one way or another, get there one way. If it takes me a week or a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I take that same approach. Now, the difference with this hike is the ultimate goal is after I complete this hike, I'm opening up a gear shop here in Eugene.
Mm.
The only gear shop here right now is REI.
Mm-hmm.
Their biggest competitor closed their doors up 2 years ago, called Backcountry. Backcountry closed up their shop. I am not a fan of REI. Um, they're okay, but yeah,
They're expensive.
They're expensive. Yeah, most definitely. Um, and the ultimate goal is to take underserved people in our community and take them out on the Pacific Crest Trail. I live 30, 40 minutes from the trail and can take people out on trail so that they can say they hiked the PCT. They experienced a through hike, whether it's a section hike for 2 weeks with someone with autism or, you know, what were we looking at? What was the other one? There's autism, all different types of mental health awareness,
Yeah.
different advocacies that we can support.
Well, you even said it yourself. You said if you have anything going on in your life, hike the Pacific Crest Trail and it'll fix it. It's a healing journey. And I think just giving access to people who would never even consider doing something like that and giving them the opportunity to possibly change their life or give them hope, even if it's something as simple as helping them find meaning again. I mean, it's just so important. So the fact that that's your end goal once you're done with this first journey, that's an amazing thing. And hopefully you'll continue to get sponsorships to support that.
And that's the goal. Because I've got a business development background in finance and all that crap like we talked about.
Obviously.
So,
yeah, from what we've discussed.
So when I look at something like this, I look at it a project and I say, so what's involved? What do I need to do to start the project? And what's the end goal? What am I doing this for? What's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah.
And the reasoning behind it is I want to be able to get as many people out on trail as possible, like you said, to experience it, have their own self reflection, their own journey, um, and really promote that aspect of healing, whether it's from alcoholism or drug addiction or mental health awareness or autism or, other things. Just because someone has a physical barrier doesn't mean they still can't hike. Maybe it's not 20 miles a day, maybe it's 5 or,
Yeah.
And just doing that, I think, gives a person a certain level of self satisfaction of being able to give back. And
Yeah.
so that's my plan, and to basically have my gear shop take people out on the trail that want to get out on the trail and experience it, and just kind of do that until I am buried.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Another section of people being a Gen Xer, Gen X women, as they're hitting midlife, they're going through a full self discovery. And for the first time in their lives, it's where they're not necessarily taking care of everyone. They've been doing that their whole lives from childhood.
Time to take care of themselves.
They're finally, for the very first time, giving themselves permission to honor who they are and find out what they like. That's a whole section of people.
Yeah, you know what that section of people piss me off, though? I can't find a date to grab my ass. They don't want to date anymore. They've been screwed over too many times.
Yes, but and now they want to honor themselves.
Right? They don't want to honor me. Shit.
It's so true. Well, maybe if you reach out to that group too. Maybe if enough of them come, one of them will want to date you.
You may have to wait till you open your.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I've been single for so long. It's like, I'm wondering, did I actually date? I don't know.
I can't imagine. We've been together over 31 years, and if I always thought if that wasn't the case, I would just I
wouldn't know what to do.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
No, so what I'm hoping is at the end is we can really make Hiking for Hope a brand.
Yeah.
Where I'm not only recruiting people here locally in my city or state, but people from all over the country.
Yeah.
I've got this child or this kid or this person, whoever. There's no age limit.
Yeah.
They can come out here to the Pacific Northwest and spend a week or a month on trail, hiking the Pacific Crest Trail and seeing some amazing stuff that they would never see, and to be able to experience it, and there's comes a lot of stuff that come into doing something like that. I need to have medical staff that are on trail with us. I need to have the psychiatrist on staff that's on trail with us. So bringing all these people and counselors and all that stuff to fruition, that's where the real work comes from, especially when it's a nonprofit. Because right now we hope to be able to, obviously our goal is to be able to come in and be able to compensate. But when you're a new, fresh startup nonprofit like us, we rely on, the generosity of others to come in, people to donate time and things like that. And that's the phase that we're in right now. So my marketing hat goes, go out and hike 12,000 miles, promote it to the whole goddamn country for 2 years, and then let's see what we get out of it at the end, right?
That's smart. And I think it's not just the country, though. I think I could see people from all over the world traveling in to have this experience. Because
I've already got followers from Germany and France and, all over the
Pacific Northwest is being from there. I can say the Pacific Northwest is heaven on earth. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the world. It's a very unique experience. And so people would travel as a destination to where you are to have the Pacific Crest Trail experience too.
Get you guys out here for a week to hike.
What's that?
They need to get you two out here to hike for a week.
Oh, yes.
I'm there.
We would love to. We love to hike.
We've been on the trail. To your point, though, not necessarily. Well, I guess I knew because I grew up in Jersey, moved to Oregon, and I was like a kid in a candy shop with the beauty of it all. And it's like, wow, we're on the Pacific Crest Trail. Like in Ashland area, like Pilot Rock, Mount Ashland, that area. Then you get up to, where would it be? Maybe up by like Mount Hood. I'm not totally sure where it goes. It meanders around Timberline area, right?
Yeah, that's Mount Hood, Timberline area. That's up north.
Yeah. So I think we've definitely been on it in different pieces, but not as let's go hike the trail.
It's hard where we are. Florida, we hike. What's the one?
Well, we have a great trail, the Florida Trail. If you're ever interested, it starts down in the swamp, in Big Cypress Swamp. So you're walking through water that's up to your waist. And it's crazy, man. People think that there's alligators.
We've done one part of it, and we have like a walking stick.
Yeah,
it was a whole thing. We love it, but there isn't any mountains.
The kahunas that I got.
We actually, that was a little dodgy. We did like a 12 mile
13
circular. Yeah, who's counting, right?
I was
13 miles.
The 12th mile.
But at one point it was so muddy we wound up taking off our shoes.
Yep.
We're like, we're only at mile 7. Do we want to walk in another 6? And
and then we put them back on. But we do love to hike. We try to hike whenever we can. Where you are, there's nothing like that where we are. So that alone.
Stretch, right? I mean, you start in Southern California, go up through Washington. I looked at the map today. I was like, I got to check this out because it meanders.
Yeah.
Right? It's the AT is almost fairly straight. The PCT kind of meanders, but you have to because of the geography. It's not like you go right over Mount Shasta.
And
You
if you notice, like you get down into the desert floor, but it's for a very short section.
Mm-hmm.
So you're usually like what people when I say the desert, we're like 5,000 to 7,000 feet.
Yeah.
It's that desert, Southern California desert portion. It does drop down into Death Valley and what's the other one? You got Death Valley and
it's like Joshua Tree.
Yeah, that area, Joshua Tree area. That's
where
we get into the more of the desert, actual desert portion.
But like a lot of the hiking is high mountain range, maybe some meadows, right? But it's very high altitude.
Once I get from Kennedy Meadows, which is mile 702, you're 50 miles from the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Once I hit the Sierra Nevada mountains, you stay between 10 and 13,000 feet for about 400.
That's crazy. To think of hiking for that long at that altitude with that air being much thinner, right? I'm sure there's an acclimation that has to take place.
I noticed for me, because in 2018 I seen people that dealt with that, especially in Northern Cal, coming out of, for some reason, they would have issues coming out of the Sierras dropping down into NorCal. Seen a couple of hikers that had to get packed out because of elevation sickness.
Really?
Yeah, but for me it didn't even bother. Even Mount Whitney, I had no problem. That's 14.5, and it just for whatever reason I'm lucky. I just don't have a problem with.
Yeah,
that's great.
And then so the PCT, it's not a direct shot so much like the AT.
No, you meander a bit. Yeah.
And the CDT, the Continental Divide, you've got a lot of open plains to that. So like Oregon, I can pull 35-mile days, 30 to 35-mile days. It's real flat terrain, pretty easy, even keel. I can get through Oregon in about 3 weeks.
From Southern Oregon up to the tip is 3 weeks
of Oregon.
Yeah, man, that's 30 miles a day, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hauling ass.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Honestly, I thinking about all of that, it's just I can't even grasp it.
You know what you do?
Doing that.
For me, what I do, because a lot of people say, well, how do you here when I'll leave the house on a Saturday, I hike to the U of O football games, and then I'll hike over to the Eugene, what do they call it, the Saturday market.
Yeah.
And I take the long way back up. I can do 20 miles of pavement hiking with this pack on and still bust it out in about 6 hours, 6-7 hours. Because I put the earbuds on, turn on the tunes. With my street hiking, I've got tips that I put on my trekking poles, and I can average it between 3 and 4 miles an hour.
Are you in the best shape of your life, right? Like from doing this, would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last time I was in this good a health or shape was probably in the military.
Yeah.
Probably mind and body.
Pardon?
Probably mind and body, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, living in Arizona the whole time, I sat behind a desk all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I eating the office donuts and drinking the lattes and making everybody else their money. And I got up to almost 280 at my heaviest. Now I don't even bat an eye to go. I don't even drive 90% of the time. I don't drive anywhere. I just walk in.
That's the key, though. Honestly, that is the key. Have you now? I assume I don't know, but did you also, as you immerse yourself into this hiking culture and this whole new life you created for yourself, did you also change how you eat?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's when I'm not on trail, I don't drink soda. I'm not a big soda pop drinker anyway, so that's not an issue. But when I'm on trail, I can eat whatever I want. I'm burning on average between 5,000 and 6,000 calories a day, as high as 7,000. So I can eat anything, as much of it as I want when I'm on trail. Never get hungry or never get full. Always hungry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I drink about 1.5 liters of water every 5 miles when I'm hiking. On top of that, when I'm not hiking, my diet really consists of a lot of fruit, vegetables. I try to, and high protein. I try to get some fatty stuff in there. I got a sweet tooth, so I have to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ain't got no teeth right now, but but yeah, I do. I eat a lot better now than I ever did younger. And I noticed as I get older, I'm probably older than you guys, I assume, right? You guys look like you're
We're 71, so only by a few years.
here. So
We're 1971, I should say.
oh, I thought you were. I'm like,
Oh no, we're born 1971.
Plastic surgery of
Yeah.
Florida.
there you go.
We're also Gen X, but we're
You guys
1971.
by like a couple of years.
We only by like what, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
71, yeah. So
We're
I'm
50
beginning to notice though that no matter how tired I am, I wake up 6 in the morning, 5,
Yeah.
30, and then I have to get my ass up because I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 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 No, we're the same. We get up at 5 and walk every morning and get out there by 5:30. And we try to get over 10,000. Well, it's easier for me because you sit back down to
I
work,
got a
but
desk job. Yeah.
I get it. I get almost 20,000 steps a day. I love it.
That's great.
I need my walking. I'm not hiking, but I need my walking every day. It's also a mental health thing and just feeling like I have control of the day, and it's the
Right.
perfect way to start. So
That's the scary thing about this hike, especially this hike that I'm getting ready to do, is there's a point where you get so into the hike itself, like we had talked about earlier, you find that everything that was important to you before hike is not that important. And you start to really focus all your energy on miles, food, water, miles, food, water. You forget shit. You forget. God, I haven't talked to anybody at home for 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because you just get into that, or you start get into that mode where you're just trucking. Now to do that for 12,000 miles versus 3,000.
When you did it, I think it was 2018. You said, right? Was your first time through? I've watched videos of people through hiking different trails. Did you get into like a pack of folks at all? Like where you were hiking with? Did you make, I guess, a group friends type of thing that you hiked with?
No, not when I hiked with. I hiked with one guy for like 3 weeks going through the Sierras. But other than that, I was kind of the loner hiker because I was a solo hiker. Everybody had partners or groups.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would hang out with them at the end of the day. Maybe there'd be, some hikers at a spot that I would stop and camp with for the night. But I was usually the first guy out of camp in the morning. But 98% of my hike is me, myself, and I, and the earbuds, and just.
Yeah, but this will be your first time incorporating the scripture into it, correct?
Correct. So there's going to be a lot of engagement this time around that I didn't have then, and trying to keep a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that will help me and help the time actually go by.
Right.
Because last time I didn't give two shits. Well, now I'm like, okay, it makes sense, needs to be done, and that helps. So I'll work it as we come by and get closer and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'll either be, October, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, by January. So we will either be here or we will leave either January, February. Just kind of depends on the weather, the grass, the glass. Because the shit can change. In a week or whatever. Now, the only thing that I decided is that I'm comfortable doing it myself because I think I can make it through there. It just may take me slower time. I may have to slow back 5 hours or, whatever. But
I think by having the scripture there with you, though, like you were just talking, you've talked a couple times now about how things get real simple. It's just water, food, miles, water, food, miles. But having the scripture there will also help you. You said keep a schedule, but also stay kind of connected
yeah,
in a way, where because you're going to have to be doing interviews and stuff like that. And that would be a kind of a jump scare to be so disconnected and then have to go into somewhere like Fox and Friends and give an interview and be with people again and all that. So I feel like that incorporating scripture is going to keep you kind of connected during those 12,000 miles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I think it'll be an easier transition.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just thinking, how do you roll out with a bunch of hair on your face? You haven't shaved or whatever in a while, and you got to interact with people.
Yeah, but that'll add to it. That'll add to the branding and excitement and everything.
I have a big old. I grow a big beard
Yeah, that's funny.
Before I ask my last question, do you have any more questions?
I do. I have a couple questions.
Okay.
More superficial questions.
Okay.
Have you been up to the top of Pilot Rock when you went by there? I know the PCT goes right near Pilot Rock. Did you guys climb up to the top at all?
No. Where's it at? What
It's
part?
if you're up at the top of Mount Ashland and you look,
Pilot
Rock? What's Pilot Rock? It's in Southern Oregon.
Okay.
It's like a volcanic rock that just comes out of the earth. It's near the PCT, and you can hike to the base of it, then climb up the rock itself. And it's not like rock climbing, but it's more like bouldering.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. It's very.
I'm going to. I've got it written down. I'm going to check that out because the mission is 12,000 miles. I've got to find 600 miles of off-trail trails.
I would highly recommend this. Yeah.
So
if you're up at the top of Mount Ashland, you can see it as you're looking to like Shasta. From Mount A to Shasta, it's in between. Wow. I don't know, 30 miles from Mount Ashland, or not even 10 miles or something.
Okay. No, I'm going to definitely check into that.
My other superficial question, how's the Saturday market in Eugene? I used to go there all the time. I'm curious, is the Tofu Palace still there?
Yep. And it's rocking and busy as all can be.
That's awesome.
We used to go to the Oregon Country Fair all the time, and Tofu Palace had a booth there. Yeah.
I haven't been out to that in years. They just had their 50th anniversary, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So,
my last one.
Okay.
The Umpqua Hot Springs. Have you been there? How are they doing?
Great. I haven't been there in years, but I have been there. And yeah, same thing. That in fact, they were promoting it quite a bit this last summer.
Really? They're promoting?
I was seeing people promoting it and pushing it on social media.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. We used to go there in college all the time.
Is it still clothing optional?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
It's Oregon, of course it is.
Yeah.
We used to go there when it was there was just the one little tub, and then there was like some people started digging out a second one.
Yeah, when we were there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You got the one here in Oregon that smells like sulfur so bad that I can't remember the name of it.
I know which one you're talking about.
Is it Sulphur Hot Springs, maybe?
No, I can't remember the name. It's I miss Oregon so much. It's such a beautiful state. I haven't come back to visit in a while just because of everything going on in Portland. It just makes me sad. But it's just not. I grew up like going to Portland and walking around, and so. But we need to make a trip back because it's just such a beautiful place, and I miss it.
Yeah, definitely. That would be great. You guys should, if you do come back when I'm hiking through, then we could do a sit down or something.
That would be cool. That'd be cool. Okay, my last question is always, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years?
Yep.
Another long distance hike. And what are we in? We're in 05 right now?
Mm-hmm.
You said 09, right? Or 29?
No, we're in 25, so it'd be 30. 2030.
Well, in 5 years to 2030. Yeah, I should probably go on another hike because in 2029 I plan that 16,000 mile hike.
Yeah.
And running a gear store, and who knows? life.
That's perfect.
Sky is the limit, right?
Yep. Well, we can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story, Wes, and sharing the story of Hiking for Hope. And we'll keep all of our listeners up to date too on when you start your hiking at the beginning of 2026 sometime, and follow along. And where everyone can follow you will be in the show notes. So whether it's TikTok, Instagram, all your socials, anywhere someone can find you, it'll be in the show notes. So we highly suggest everyone go and follow Wes Hiking for Hope, so you can follow along on this 12,000-mile journey and support. And you'll see him on different media outlets through the 12 to 18 months. So this is, you can get in right at the beginning before all of this takes off.
18 to 24 months.
18 to 24 months. Sorry, I was making you go faster than you're going to.
It's got a lot of mileage. Give him a break.
Yeah, 12,000 miles. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I will give you guys a shout out as well.
Thank
on
you.
all of our social media platforms, and let everybody know.
Cool.
Tell them to tune into your guys' channel and promote that as well. And
Thank
if you
you.
guys don't mind,
Sure.
because you're like really cool ass people,
Thank
I would
you.
love to throw your logo and your company stuff up on our partnership page on our website with a link to your.
That would be wonderful.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we would be honored. Yeah, for sure. That would be amazing.
So if
Thank you.
the logo, if you send me whatever you want me to use, I'll use that and I'll put that onto the website tonight, and I'll add the link to it so we can start promoting you. So my email address is follow@hikingforhope.com.
Okay, perfect.
Easy.
Yeah, we'll get on that tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'd be cool, because I would love to promote you guys, and you know, it's 24 months of promoting your business, and your logo will be on our team shirts and stuff. So.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be awesome.
No, we'd be honored. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll get you guys out team shirts too. Once they come,
that'd be amazing.
I'll find out the sizes and get you shirts.
Okay, thank you
You
so
guys
much.
have kids, or?
We do. We have 3 kids. We have a 28-year-old, a almost 25-year-old, and a 15-year-old. Yeah. So we're 3 years out of being empty nesters, so we'll get to hike a little bit more.
There you go.
Once that happens. But no, we'll make sure everything is out there. And you know, anytime you have something new to promote, we would love to have you come back on to talk about whatever project, the documentary, you know, whenever all this stuff comes together. But again, thank you for your story. And for our listeners, if you have any questions for Wes, please leave them. We will make sure he sees them so he can answer you. And if you have any questions for us, as always, please leave them. And we will see you next time. Bye.